Wait. There we go. Woo. We're on.
We're here.
We're live. Get
We're
the
live.
whistle.
Get that toot it. For those of you tuning at home, hi, welcome aboard the
Tooting at home.
Tabletop Express Top Games of 2023.
Yes.
Better late than never.
Well, we're not that late.
We're
No,
not-
we're not.
Well,
Not that late.
I always say, and first and foremost, if you have never checked out our channel before, welcome to the Tabletop
You're probably
Express.
here by accident. but-
Yeah. Maybe. My name's Chris.
I'm Ryan. How are you?
I'm Anthony. I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah. And one of the reasons that we do our top 10 of 2023 when we do is we want to get more of them in.
Yeah.
Candidly, because I got in, I don't know about you guys, I got in 60 games from 2023.
That's it.
Crushed me. That's
I
it.
think you beat me, actually.
Yeah.
I think I'm like in the 40s.
I got 60. So I was really to the point of last night. I was still working some in. But so that's part of the reason we do it.
Yeah.
You know, we want to play those games. So
Yeah, makes sense.
but this is our top 10 of 2023. We do have some
the greatest.
these are the best of 2023.
But-
there they are.
You know what we do, right? There's
In
a
our
call-in
humble opinion.
show. Well,
Yes.
there's a call-in show, so you can call in with your favorite game of 2023, and we'll see if it's on. Wait for it. We'll see if it's on our list.
Ew.
Look at that. Now we're bigger than the list.
Oh, we are bigger than the
It's
list.
magic, isn't it? Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. So we have a top 10 for each of us, including favorite new to me game and favorite expansion.
Ah.
If your game is not on this list, we will go to this website called Board Game Geek,
You might have heard of it.
and we'll look up whatever game you may be talking about.
Huh?
But before we do that, I need to ask. Were there? Oh, by the way, Tyler's here. Let me say hi to Tyler.
Hey, Tyler.
Hey, Tyler.
What's up?
How are you? I do have to ask. We played a bunch of games, but were there any games in 2023 you wish you could have played but did not?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Did I
Like,
say it
no,
now?
go- yeah, go for it.
Apiary.
Oh,
I'm a little jelly.
short and stout.
Huh?
Like I'm a little teapot. I'm a little jelly.
I'm a little jelly.
I'm a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah.
Sticky and purple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Well, that's like honey.
Like honey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played Apiary yet.
I did.
You did.
I worked it in.
play
Oh,
with?
wait a minute. Hang on. We don't need to go to Board Game Geek for this, do we?
No, we don't.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
You
boy.
already said it's number one?
No, it's not my number one.
Oh, okay. What was it?
I think it was my. Let me confirm. Number 4.
Whoa.
Yeah, I played this because it bugged me that this had not hit the table.
It bugged you.
Yeah.
I'm counting. I'm gonna count down the fun. Keep going.
Okay, because there was a lot of buzz about this one.
No.
So, well, you challenged me. Now I'm trying to think in my head. The reality of it was this one had to get played because it was sitting in my house.
Hmm.
And it was sitting there last night, and I said, I got to just put this on the table. I got to get down the mechanics. I want to check it out. So what I ended up doing with this was doing solo and then simulating a multiplayer game
Mm-hmm.
just
Okay.
to get that full perspective. So I
Wait, so you did both?
yeah.
Wow.
So I simulated a 3-person game because 3 was where I felt this game would shine.
Hmm.
I enjoyed solo. I had no problem with solo, but there was from playing the solo, I could tell, man, this game is high on interaction.
Hmm.
And I like that. I like that every turn you're kind of you want to pay attention to what's going on because in this game you are trying to score the most points. That is still the goal, right? You're trying to do these things. But the thing about this game is that you are going to have a starting faction of bees. There's 20 different factions. These are bees in space, by the way. Humanity's gone at the start of this game if you want to go into the thematics of it.
And the bees left it
The
behind.
bees
Bees shall inherit
Yeah.
the earth.
And then leave
Basically,
it and go out to space.
well, so they're out in space. That's all you need.
Are they
to know.
like? Okay, go ahead.
They're in space.
All right.
So the bees are colonizing out there in space. They're exploring. And one of the neat things about this is the 20 factions. They've got some recommended starting factions.
Hmm.
As you can see on the left-hand side, that's the it's represented a ship that's exploring.
Big B.
Yeah, actually, what's neat is when you're going over those spaces,
Yeah.
you're gonna reveal a location.
Mm.
So you're gonna essentially reveal a location, and you're able to pick the resource that you put on that location.
Okay.
So now you are controlling the type of resources that are going to be able to be collected on those spots
Mm.
through that explore action, which I thought was really cool. So that was definitely neat. But the interaction in this, because you start with their B characters, which as you flip your Bs over, they've got the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm.
And you start based on your starting faction, different levels of them.
Right.
And as you're playing them and you put them on the board, if someone else wants to take that spot, so say, Anthony, you're in a spot I want to go, I'm going to go there with it. Your B is now bumped off. You have a chance at this point then to bring it back to your board. But you actually, one of the things you're going to be able to do before you do that is potentially up its power. So
Right.
say it was a 2, you can make it a 3. And there's some really powerful actions in this game that happen when they're level 4s.
Mm.
But then after that, they kind of retire, right?
Correct.
So they're not going to be 4s. The whole
Yeah, so they're going to
Yeah,
hibernate
right.
if you knock off a
Hibernate,
4.
yes.
And the game is actually contingent on once someone's hibernations are all
Right,
used.
right.
So it was a neat factor. You're also building a board. So you see some of those tiles on the right-hand side.
Hexagons.
Those hexagonals right there, those are going onto your board.
Mm.
You're able to take actions to expand your world as well, which I will point out you can go off the board with a little bit, and that's fine as long as they're connecting and by the rules of the game with the one spot. But yeah, you're able to build this out and find different ways to score. So there's that pointality thing happening there. And then overall, I just gotta say, the biggest thing to me was that interactiveness. It felt like I wasn't going to get bored playing this with multiple people between turns. Mind you, to me, 3 was a really good number.
Yeah.
I tested at 3. I tested the autumn was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It does some things. The autumn action actually ends up clearing those tiles that you're trying to get.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a pain because you want to get something and then it goes and does an action and clears out 2 of
So
them.
do you actually play against a faction or no? It's just
No, it's like a set of cards.
got it.
It's a set of cards. It gave me enough that I knew I needed to test it further. I tested it further, and yeah. So I wouldn't consider that a full game because I was fake, playing, right? But I tried to play it realistically as someone would in that.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, so Apiary jumps onto the list. I really feel I'm excited to play with you both and see what you think at 3 in particular.
Well, Tyler is saying that he's played it at multiple player accounts and he seems to enjoy it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And his second comment is something that I remember coming up when we first talked about this when we had Connie on the channel about the factions, because there's 20 of them. There's going to be some varying levels of abilities and strengths and things like that. So my question to you, and I guess more Tyler, since he has a little more experience, if you were to set up a 3 or 4 player game, would you take some factions and be like, okay, pick from these? Would you put all 20 out, pick randomly, or would you try to mitigate, the overpowerness of some of them? Do you think?
I think I'd start with the basic starting ones to begin with.
Okay.
And then I was doing my research on that. I also would say, because there's 20 of them, I'd have to read a little bit deeper into the ones that people felt were overpowered. But to that point, I would say it might also be a nice way to put the less experienced players, maybe with one that is going to give them a little bit of that edge to offset it. So it's not the worst thing in that way when you have that many, but you could say the same way Stonemeyer did it with Scythe. There's certain combos you don't do, etc. It could be, hey, if you're experienced at this game, you definitely don't get these 4 factions.
Okay. Tyler, by the way, is saying we would house rule that experienced players couldn't choose certain factions.
Okay.
But starting factions is a good start.
Cool. Yeah.
Marcel's saying that played learn with 3 on this game was awesome and definitely want to play again.
Okay.
And Brian Chandler saying that it's on the shelf of shame.
Well, like I said,
that makes me want to play more. So
yeah, so I say we'll definitely get this to the table. And again, it was we could have animals in space and literally do Mlem this and and Cosmic Frog. And
I
we just
sent
did-
him.
True.
I sent
Yeah,
him
yeah.
a game. I don't know if it was Kickstarter or Game Family.
Right,
It's
like
called
Space
Earth
Cows, whatever,
Cows.
Earth, yeah.
Earth
Cows.
Cows.
Oh,
from,
no.
Of Mass Destruction. I think.
Yeah.
Earth Cows. Mass
Oh, then we could do Abduction if anyone gets
I've
that.
actually played that.
Could do
So-
that. Oh,
so-
great, you can click on these.
So there's
Ooh.
so
Forgot all about that.
yeah.
Fancy pants.
But again, a lot of different aspects to this game, and I think a lot of people are going to like from the kind of building your world for scoring
Yeah.
to the way that you're collecting the stuff to the interactiveness. So
This
for me,
bee miniature reminds me of the auntie from Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep. So,
that's
Espen, is there a game that you wish you had gotten to the table? For?
There is, because it's one of those you got to convince people to play it.
Okay.
oh yeah,
I really wanted to play Horseless Carriage, so
I feel like I let you down on this one, but I had just no
That's
enthusiasm on
okay.
this one.
I get it. I mean, it looks riveting, right? You get to build the first automobile. Look at that. That's a winning factory right there. That's coming up. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play this. Still want to play this. I'm going to play this at some point. But it's a game by Splotter, same designers of Food Chain Magnate. So yeah, I want to play it.
Cool.
That's it. It's also like Venn diagram, the board game.
Oh, is this not soloable?
No,
Oh,
it's highly
okay.
interactive.
Okay.
Football.
3 to 5. Got it.
3 to 5, best of 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and then your table's taken up with just different Venn diagrams and stuff.
Yikes.
Well, I want to play it.
Tyler asked if you played it online, by the way.
Oh, I have not played it online. I've seen it on onlineboardgamers.com, which is the same site where you can play Food Chain Magnate online, as well as Bus and Con.
Okay.
Not Wrath of Con, like Con the Film Festival. There's a Splotter game based off of that as well.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
The one that I wanted to play, was it Hegemony or
Oh yeah.
I just heard so much about this that I did want to try this.
How I like to think about it is, how would Billy Idol say it? Hegemony. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, this one caught.
It's
Well-
like, yeah, good for you.
Oh,
I said yeah.
yeah. I'm just gonna say, I know for a lot of people, a lot of lists I did see this was on it for people, and I didn't get to play it. So
I didn't get to play it yet either. I
So-
would like to play it, but I'm sure it would scare away the table again with Billy Idol singing.
no,
It would just be stuck in my head.
Yeah.
You said
But-
yeah?
What? Would be
Sorry,
stuck in my head. Oh no, I know what you did there.
Hegemony.
sorry.
Yeah. So I would love to play this one at some point. It was that and what, the Free Circus or whatever one.
Oh, Three Ring Circus?
Yeah, Free Ring
Okay.
Circus. But
Also good.
but again, those were ones I would have liked to have played.
Cool.
It was Apiary for a while.
Brian
Okay.
Sandler said yeah. See?
Yeah.
He's a fan of Billy Idol over here. All right. Well, we could jump into, I guess we could do favorite expansions or favorite new to me's.
What do we want to start with?
Whatever you want to do.
What?
You haven't done one.
Who, me?
You pick. You want to do favorite new to me or favorite expansion?
I did when I already shared it. I already shared
I
Apiary.
just, I kind of spoiled his pick by
No, that's
by
okay.
naming
All right,
my-
Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah,
Pick
go
one.
ahead.
Pick
What-
one. Let's go to right to left.
Right to left.
And by the way, if you do want to call in, the lines are open. Just do call-aboard.com. In the private chat, let us know what game you want to talk about so we can prep it up, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
operators are standing by.
Oh, it's us.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So favorite. Let's do favorite new to me,
Favorite new to me.
because this was a game that is, I don't know how old, but it's on the older side. It's called
It is.
Cockroach Poker.
Yes.
Heard you talk about this many times.
Understatement.
Finally busted it out at a game night. I think maybe we wrapped up the night with this game, or it was close to the end of the night.
Is that with us?
Yeah.
It was here, right?
No, was that?
PAX. Was it PAX?
Was it PAX Unplugged?
Was it?
I thought it
Might
was
have-
here.
I don't
It
know.
was
Might have
here.
been here.
Yeah. When we had the big giant game night in multiple rooms.
Oh yeah.
No.
No?
Oh.
No, but it was the same night that we played Lupin Louie with the tournament rules, I thought.
Oh, what a night.
Was
That's
that
a
not
good
your
night.
top favorite new to me?
It would have been my house, actually. We don't
Might have
know.
been your house.
No,
Oh, yeah, it was.
we
It was
played
for your
at my birthday.
It was for your birthday.
My birthday, yeah.
There you go.
There we go. As we try to figure out where to play. But yeah, Cockroach Book's been around 2004 according to this.
Okay. Yeah, this is when you describe the concept that there's one loser.
Yes, there's one
Everybody
loser.
else wins. That just caught me, right away. That was very unique and interesting. And you essentially just have a hand of cards of different insectoid type things.
Mhm.
You hand someone a card and say, "This is a whatever it is. This is a cockroach. This is a bat. This is whatever, a beetle or something like that." And they basically either believe you or they don't believe you. If they say no, it's not, and you prove that it is, they have to keep that card? Is that the
So if you call their lie, if you call their bluff,
right,
then they take the card.
Right.
But if you're incorrect in calling the bluff, you keep it. The other
Right.
thing is you could choose not to call it and just continue the bluff down the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Pass it to
Or
someone
you could
else.
do the Ryan method and just without looking at it, say this is something else.
Oh, there's so much. There's such a
and
meta in this
confuse everybody.
But you know why I like this? I like bluffing to an extent, and the social deduction is a little bit of a blurry space for me.
Mhm.
But in this game, there's really not a lot too much to keep track of, right?
Sure,
You're just looking at the card you have, and you're either lying or not about it. It's kind of like Sheriff of Nottingham type of lying,
Yeah.
as opposed to like a game like Coup, like Avalon.
Yeah.
Those.
Yeah.
I don't do well in those games because
Sure.
I feel like there's too much to grok about the hive mind and who's thinking what. This is just like you just take a chance and kind of like say what you think the person's telling the
It's
truth
also
or not.
so portable. I
Yeah,
mean, this
well,
at PAX
surprise,
Unplugged will
yeah.
get 5 to 10 plays, I feel like, easily within
Yeah.
a quick period of the nights that were there, just because it's so easy to bring.
Yeah. So now that this one has made my playlist, definitely
You picked it up.
I'll play it again. No, but I would.
Yeah.
I would.
The thing I love about Cockroach Poker is that it's very much obviously the game about bullying, where you're really like hammering usually on one person.
Yeah.
But also it gives them that spotlight, and I like that. I like giving the spotlight to people because then it's good, like the focus on them. But then it's hilarious when it backfires.
Yeah.
And the spotlight's directly on you, because then everyone's throwing cards at your way. So it's not for everyone.
No.
But
yeah, no.
I'm
if
happy.
you get your feelings hurt.
Yeah.
This is not for you.
But even then, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because again, it's a game of bullying.
Yes.
But what I would say about this one is once you get through a round of it, you start to realize, oh, I get it.
Sure.
And then something clicks and you're going to know if that person's going to like it or not.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times I find most people like it at that point. So
I'm waiting for my kids to get a little older to play with them.
Sure.
oh, my son loves this game.
Yeah. I think he's 10, right?
He's 10.
I think that's a good age.
Okay.
My daughter's not particularly good at it at 6, but my son, he likes it.
Cockroach Poker.
Cockroach Poker, great play.
All right. Well, my favorite new to me was also an oldie.
Okay.
Well, an oldie where I come from, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's back to the future. But listen. This game I actually played but never finished with Gil Hova, designer of the networks, and way back when, in 2012, and it came out in 1999. So at that time, it was old then too. And this is the Reiner Knizia classic, Ra. I never played Ra before. Ra is phenomenal. Oh, yeah, look how beautiful this edition is.
Just a new one, right?
This
This
is
is a new
the
one.
deluxe, beautified one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the 25th Century Games Deluxe Edition. Ra is a fantastic auction game that deserves all the praise that it gets. It is the auction game, and it even works amazing at 2 players, which you wouldn't think with an auction game.
Sure.
But it works so well at all player counts, 2 to 5. It's a push your luck kind of auction game too, which is what I like about it too. So if you haven't played Ra, just play Ra. Find someone to play Ra with. It's great. That's Ra.
Awesome.
Rah.
Ra.
And before we get into 2023 games, I will say my favorite new to me game. If you go ahead and reveal that one, it is a 2-player game. It is the Field of Cloth of Gold. Of the Cloth of Gold.
The Field of the Cloth of Gold.
Yes.
503rd anniversary edition.
Yes.
Get it right.
Field of the Cloth.
We've talked about this game on the channel before. I should probably go find a clip of it because I kind of raved about it the first time it just came up. But it is a 2-player game of who can
Passive aggressive gift giving.
passive aggressive gift giving. Oh, I'm going to take this. You take this. And you want to be careful what you're giving your opponent in this game. But the thing is, there's really there's 6 6 actions really that you could take in this game with the placement of your pieces, but then you have the ability to block. So there's the strategic method of, do I want to move this piece yet or not? And also, the more you're scoring, the less you're getting value out of certain things at the end of the game. So the more you go down the scoring path, the less value certain stuff's going to be at the end. So you don't want to get too far ahead. Okay. Because normally you would love to run away, right? Running away with the score in this one early on may not help you.
Yeah, because you collect a set of gold tiles, which are those yellow bordered ones, right? And the further down you are on that score track list per row, the victory point value of that gold drops from 3 to 2 down to 1.
Yeah.
So it's a careful balance of scoring enough points to beat your opponent, but not too many points where your gold is worthless.
Interesting.
It is really great. It's really, really great.
And this one, Annabelle Holland, Hounspiel did this. And this was on my shelf the moment that the next Christmas order came in for Ryan. I said, throw this on the list because I need this. And this hits a home run for me. And like I said, this is going to be the one that was new to me. But in the first sitting, we played it twice in about an hour.
Yeah.
So it plays really quick and swiftly. And it's such a good game. So big fan of that one. Yeah. That was our new to us here in 2023. Of course, reminder, call-aboard.com if you want to call in and be part of a show. It's call and show, of course. And if you do have games you want to talk about from 2023 that were your favorite, we'd love to hear it. We're talking about, obviously, our top 10, which before we jump into that, I just want to note, because we all kind of remarked how many we played, but I have to tell you, for me, I had like 10 to 15 games all within like the same score range. And it was the last, people might be surprised on some on my list as well as not on my list. And that's kind of a reason why, because there's a bunch in this 8 to 8.5 range in my scoring. And I had to try to pick between them and figure out where, because I didn't scale them when I was doing it, right? You know, so I was trying to do that. I was like, oh, this is tough. So
now, when you put Apiary on your list, did everything just shift down one?
A bunch.
Somebody got chopped off.
Someone did get chopped off, and it was one that people probably would have been surprised to see, but one did get chopped off. Yeah,
man, that must have stung.
Do you want to just tell us?
Well, you were surprised by this when I told you what it was, if in terms of Land and Freedom.
Oh yeah,
Land and Freedom, the Spanish Revolution and Civil War.
This is your number 11?
This was my number 11. And we played this game. So I guess that's my honorable mention in that sense, unofficially. We played this game and I was just so taken by the fact that we were cooperatively playing, but competing all at the same time in this game. Because every decision I was making, and you're playing with cards that you could use the card for an action. You know, you've got these abilities,
multi-use cards.
Yeah, I love multi-use cards.
Yeah,
you talked to when you've on the 2-player video we did. I talked about beer and bread. Multi-use cards to me are a beautiful thing and one of my favorite things in games. So there's all these different things that we can do, and I can take an advantage based on conditions of the game in that moment. I can do it based on the actions. I can do it put things on the symbols. Based on the symbols, I might want to play it, and I want to have that card in on my board because that symbol is going to be useful to me later. So there's a lot of different things I have to think about, and at the same time, I have to be mindful of what other people are doing, because as we're shifting, if you go to one of those first photos, you can kind of see the board.
Yeah.
So if you look, the government, the Soviet support might be low. What's the government support? What's the collectivism? So based on where a lot of these things are, that has an impact on what I need to do to maybe get things back to where it is advantageous for me. But at the same time, we could all lose.
Well, let me just give some framing, right? So Land and Freedom, the Spanish Revolution and Civil War is set during World War II. And what's going on is fascists are trying to control Spain to get them ready to become part of the Axis powers. So it's up to 3 different factions to stop the fascists. That's the moderates, the communists, and the anarchists. Even though they don't agree with each other, they all agree on one thing: forget the fascists.
Yep.
So you're trying your best to help together to stop the fascists, but also make sure your faction is at top.
Okay.
Which I think is such a clever balance, because the game could end in failure for anyone, but it's a matter of balancing.
Yeah.
How much are you going to help, and how much are you going to help yourself?
And you have to help each other in the beginning. You can't go all at it in the beginning, or you're going to screw yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you have to help each other. So you can. It doesn't mean you're best friends, right? But you're fighting fascism in this game, so you've got to work together in the beginning, because otherwise you set yourself down on a bad path. But I don't know the vibe of this game. So this was my number 11, and
I was surprised about that.
Yeah, it was sad to bump it off, but at the same time, everything in my top 10 I'm very happy with. So I have no quarrel with that.
The one that bumped off my list that I will say was actually Darwin's Journey.
Mm-hmm.
So Darwin's Journey is a fantastic Euro style game, and this game came out this past year, but I played it years ago on Tabletop Simulator, and it's a pretty fantastic one. Like, it's a worker placement game where your workers become more powerful, and specific actions that they do will benefit if you put that specific worker on there. It's great. It handles the Euro tracks on track kind of feel in a different vibe, because now the tracks are just like a ship, like ships going down the ocean, I guess. So I like that aspect of it. And there's a separate track for your workers to go up on the different islands in the Galapagos. You're essentially thematically trying to go on Darwin's Journey, collect different things and add them into like a shared museum where you could score points. It's pretty fun.
This one probably my top 20.
Yeah.
Not in my top 10. I can tell you that right now. But this one I liked it a lot. But I still like Newton, I think, overall better than this one, which is probably why
I think it's the same team as Newton.
It is. So I think I just like Newton better. So I think it took a little bit of a hit for me, because ultimately I would prefer to play Newton.
Yeah.
But
we see Mr. Rouse here and saying Darwin's Journey is sitting on his shelf of shame,
which is why some people have called for a Tabletop Express Con to take out Shelf of Shame.
I really want the Shame Con.
Shame Con.
Shame Con.
Yeah. Shame Con.
Shame Con.
You got to look into that one. That seems like bring your Shelf of Shame games, and we will help you all play it. That's great.
What was your honorable mention, Anthony?
Oh, I didn't really get that far, but I'd probably say maybe Wild Child West would be there.
Wiki Wild?
Wiki Wild Child West, yeah. This one we played early in the year. But I quite enjoyed this one. I think I might have liked it better than you guys.
Yeah,
I think you
for the
did.
most part.
You did.
It was cool. Polyomino style. Getting some hooligans taking over some land, some farm, and things like that.
The boards were my favorite part about this.
The boards were awesome. They're all differently named and like thematic, and even went as far as to like have some aliens on some of them or something.
Yeah.
I think we didn't get that far, but a lot of variability there as well. And that's just kind of a shot in the dark. It might have been number 13 or 14. But that's my honorable mention for now.
Cool. Yeah, I think I would have. I think my biggest thing with this was I would have rather played Barren Park in the long run.
Yeah, there's so many other polyominoes.
But I did like this one. And thematically I enjoyed it too, quite a bit. So
the more I let it sit in, the more I dislike it personally.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and the one thing I didn't like about Wild Child West, the biggest thing I didn't like, and I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now still, is the price point for what you're getting. You're looking at like a game that has it fixed the Barren Park problem of having no insert to an insert blitzed out like crazy.
Yeah,
but I think it was like $60, maybe $70 for this game.
That's a lot.
It's a lot for that kind of game.
I mean, you got a lot of boards.
Yeah, but
well, especially you know what I'm comparing to now? It's funny because I just picked up Life in Retera from through Target, which is Eric's Eric of Come On theme, I guess you would say. So Eric's done so many different games.
Eric Lang?
Yeah, Eric Lang's done so many different games. But
He's on a first name basis with me.
No, I just saying Eric because I don't know why I didn't say Lang. But point is that game comes with this great little insert in a $30 box. with like recycled
Yeah.
product. Like,
Oh yeah, like
and that's $30. If that's $30,
Yeah.
but to that point, Wild Wild West, great insert.
Yeah.
It's true. Fantastic.
we
insert.
keep going down Mr. Rao's shelf of shame
There we
tonight.
go.
Oh
I
man.
like it.
All right. Well, before we jump into, I guess, our favorite expansions, again, if call-board.com, if anyone wants to call in, you got someone who wants to learn about some good games to play.
You can also stay in the chat and just shout out some games.
Yeah, yeah.
But
we'll highlight your messages.
we'll do all that. But let's go back the other way, I guess. So start with me for favorite expansion. And I have a feeling we might be talking about your favorite.
You know it is.
I know.
You know it is.
It's Fine Muck.
It's Cosmic Frog.
It's Fine Muck. This expansion for me, I really liked Cosmic Frog.
Yeah.
And
Tell me.
I liked Cosmic Frog a lot. It had a very good first impression on me. I said, oh, this is crazy. This is wild. It's out there. And we played it. The first time I played it was PAX Unplugged. Our first PAX Unplugged as together that we attended.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a great game with Arwen, and it was such a fun time. But then we played it again, and we played it with the expansion.
Yep.
Where we had the ability to control a little bit more in our fights.
Yeah, because instead of sort of.
Yes,
sort of.
A little bit more.
Sort of. So instead of dice roll combat, what you're doing is a chip system.
Mm-hmm.
And those chips are going to be numbered from 0 through 4. And you kind of just like flail them out on the table to your opponent and kind of like, I guess, metagame them to pick some. And they pick 2, you add the sums. And then
that's what I mean. That little metagame of...
I mean, it's not really a real metagame. It's all BS.
It is, but it's fun.
Like, there's no logic in there.
But I liked it better than the die.
Sure.
I liked it better than the die. And then the addition of and you can explain the Muck mechanic probably a little bit better than I, but the addition of that added another layer to the game.
Well, it's also a modular expansion. So if you don't want the chips but want to use the Muck, you can. If you don't want to use the Muck but want to use the chips, you can. You can use them all, you can use them none. And then there's also psychic mental powers. So instead of punching frogs out in the face and sticking your tongue down their gullet and pulling out all these pieces of terrain into your gullet, what you could actually do is use a ranged psychic mental blast.
I like how he's doing a Magneto thing with his head as he's doing this.
Professor X does that, right? Doesn't he, Professor X?
Well, yeah.
Magneto doesn't really. He does this.
Oh, Magneto, you're right. Yeah. Professor X is more like that.
Anyways, you're going to be sending some mind mucking over to your opponent, and they'll be projectile vomiting different pieces of terrain from their gullet that will be shooting out. And the thing is, if there's frogs in between, those frogs can stick out their tongue and stick it in their belly.
Muckety muck.
It's so disgusting in the best ways.
Yes.
And then also you get additional abilities. And the abilities in Cosmic Frog are just so fun.
Yeah, and ultimately this does give some new things in the abilities department. But anyways, this expansion, just a wonderful...
It bumped up my appreciation for Cosmic Frog.
Okay.
Which is a lot already.
Yeah.
This made...
even more.
I didn't have a desire to own Cosmic Frog with the base game. This bumped it up enough that if I had a good enough deal on it, I would put it in my collection and have no issue with that.
You prefer to play with all the parts of the expansion?
If I can, yeah, if I can, for sure.
I don't think it's that complicated to do so with.
It's not. There's just it's a lot of you have to play at the right table too.
Yeah.
Like if I'm playing with people who've played it before, I feel like I'd be more comfortable doing that.
Sure.
Obviously, with newer players, you want to do something to kind of introduce them because the base game alone has a lot of muckiness to it. But it's something that just go out and explore.
But I would argue that the chips themselves, as opposed to the dice, I would include with new players.
You could.
I think you could do that perfectly fine.
Yeah, you could. The Muck expansion when you're throwing things out into the ether to collect, like that's the Muck lance.
Yeah,
that stuff you could wait out on.
The Muckscape,
the Muckening.
I think it's called the Muck lance.
The Muck CU
in the outer dimensions. It already has fake names or real names, I guess.
Oh man!
But Cosmic Frog, Fine Muck, and there's more Cosmic Frog on the way.
Gen Con, right?
Gen Con,
more Muck.
I know. I'm so excited.
But Anthony,
alrighty. My favorite expansion is an easy pick for me because it was the only expansion from 2023. for me, and that's Cascadia Landmarks.
Let me pull that up.
Cascadia is one of, if not my favorite game. And Landmarks is also modular. That's a couple of things. If you want to play this game with 5 or 6 players, it gives you that ability. I don't know that I want to play this game with more people. I think it shines at 2 and 3. But it does offer that. And then there's the big thing the title of it is Landmarks here. These are other scoring cards that'll come out, and they basically are going to take the place of some of the animal tokens. So if you're not familiar with Cascadia at all, you're building this little ecosystem in front of you with hexagonal tiles that represent different environments, like forest and wetlands and things like that. And then these animal tokens of various species that you put on these hexes to create these sort of patterns, and that's how you score points. With the landmarks, if you have the specified layout in your current tableau, you can take one of those cards and put, I think you need 5 of the same terrain tiles in a group to be able to take one of them, and then you put them on that tile you just placed in lieu of one of the animal tokens.
Yeah. And
they score for you in these different ways. The other thing that's interesting about this expansion, though, is, well, the one thing is it could have come with just new scoring cards, and I would have been okay with that. Because that's my favorite type of new material for a game, right? It's just more of the same, so to speak. So this gives you, I think, 3 new scoring, types for each animal in the game. So adds a lot to the variability of the setup. But also it has this sort of I don't know what you want to call it. It's sort of like this fast-forwarding kind of catch-up mechanic, not for a catch-up leader, but it's supposed to sort of, I guess, cut down on downtime between turns, because you have these sort of tiles that are on the side that you can kind of add to your own tableau that are just yours. They're not coming from the 4 that are in the middle to be drafted. So it's kind of while you're waiting for other players to go, you can sort of do this side thing. But the tokens and stuff are coming from the same bag. So it's not like you're stealing things or kind of distressing the way that the things would come out for the draft. It just sort of try to make the game go faster, which I would imagine they included with this specifically for that 5 or 6 player game. Yeah. Where, it can get a little, downtime can be a little.
But I'd use it in the main game.
Well, why? I don't think it hurts, right?
Yeah.
Why not? I mean,
it's actually to your point, I think that's my favorite part about this expansion. And it didn't need to necessarily be an expansion, but yet it is probably my favorite part because I really do like it. Brian says right there, it reduces this number of turns, but it gives you this control back. It gives you some control of having the tiles and be able to strategically say, I really want to build around this spot. I can do it. But if I do it too much, what's going to happen is I'm going to be in a tough spot. So you have to be really smart about it. So that's my favorite part about that.
Brian, answer your question. I did dump everything together. I typically do that with expansions that are able to do that because I don't know, it's just easier. And if it doesn't change the game so much, I could teach this to someone as a new player and not have to explain to them that these 3 things are new.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? This, as far as they would know, this is Cascadia and this is how it works, and it would be fine.
I bought the insert.
Yes. Same. Same.
That insert, you and I both bought the, we both bought that at PAX Unplugged.
Yeah. Full space.
Yeah.
I actually didn't play Cascadia until last year. And it was with Landmarks.
Awesome.
I played.
Awesome.
So it's very straightforhtard.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and it's beautiful. And again, these nice little wooden landmark pieces look pretty cool out in your tableau.
Yep.
And you have a lot of freedom to build. And we've talked about this before when we compare this to the other games in the series. Mostly Calico, which is very tight, right? And the borders are very confining.
Yeah.
This is much more spread out, sandboxy type of thing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite expansion of last year. I hope they don't come out with more. I don't want the game to get bloated.
This is, and I say this I've got to meet Randy many times. I would love to see what else Randy is working on. And
they had the 2 rolling, right? Rolling right. So that's
right. So I want to see where else I want to see where else where Randy goes, because
Cascadia doesn't need any more.
I think Cascadia is in a great spot. I really do. And so I'm kind of with you. I'm not rushing to get anything more Cascadia at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm interested where the world
Yeah.
of games from Randy goes, because I like the way Randy designs. So
Agreed.
Cool. Cascadia.
What?
Landmarks.
there we go.
And that ends our honorable mentions.
Good night, everybody.
No.
That ends our favorite new to me and our favorite expansions of
Yes.
2023. So now we can get the ball rolling, minus the apiary.
Yeah, the Apiary. Look, I'm glad Apiary came up because, again, for me, I was happy that I got it to the table, that we as a channel could at least talk about it a little bit tonight, because it felt like it needed to be talked about.
Yeah, it just makes you want to play it more. So,
but yeah, that's one that I would love to play with both of you, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm glad we got to talk about it, and that is my number 4.
Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Do we have any? I do want to pose the question to everyone in the chat. You know, what was maybe your favorite game that was published in 2023, and see kind of what's on people's minds in terms of what game stands out to them. I will make one note, and I have to make it because I promised my wife I would make it. One game in particular, I did not include on this list, but I need to note it, and you're already putting it in.
I'm already putting it in.
Yeah, this one we played, and it is a game that previously existed. They made changes to it, but at the core, the game was very much the same. Very much the same. They made some really nice additions, but I did not feel it was so different from the original, outside of getting rid of some stuff that I felt was a good thing to get rid of. Okay. And that's Cartagena.
Cartagena.
I always say Cartagena. Cartagena, the Escape Diaries. And so we don't need to spend a lot of time on this. I just wanted to note it. It would have been in my top 10 if this was like this brand new original game that had not
reprint
and it's not. They made some nice changes. They added it so there's these escape boats, because in this you're trying to escape prison. You were pirates, now you're anamorphic pirates, so you're animals.
Wait, we got turned into animal?
I don't know if we got
I thought we were always
well, in the original they're pirates,
right?
So that's all
pirates here too. It's just
we're pirates. We're just animal pirates. Point being, they added that these tiles come into play that can cover up spots on the board or on these escape boats, but you could also escape earlier by taking the risk of going on the boat.
Right.
And they also added the captains, and the captains give you some additional abilities, like having a choice of what card you take in the tableau. Because normally when you go back and land in a spot with 1 or 2 pirates, you're going to get 1 or 2 cards, but you're taking them in order. Again, those abilities that they added, I thought all good, but too close for me to feel like it qualified. So this would have been in my top 10. My son was even asking, like, isn't like we played this all the time? If there was a top 10 for games that came out in 2023 for my family, this was number 1. Not a question. We love this game. We've played it like after I borrowed your copy, we bought our own copy.
It was a pretty good copy.
Which does not happen all the time, as I point out to people. Usually we don't do that.
Until now.
Well, not the first time, but yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
I saw Brian Chandler brought up Astronites as a 2023 favorite, and Jeremiah brought up that Ancient Knowledge. I've only played on BGA, but I really enjoy it.
Oh,
nice.
Thanks for sharing.
All right, I'm going to jump into my number 10.
Do it.
Now, my number 10 is a game we recently streamed on the channel. It was a game that came out towards the end of the year from Annabelle Holland and Holland Spiel, and that is Doubt is Our Product. Now, Doubt is Our Product, just like so many other Holland Spiel titles, is such a powerful message kind of game. It's a 2-player asymmetric game where one player is Big Tobacco and the other player is the movement against Big Tobacco. And the idea is, if you both know that smoking causes cancer, and Big Tobacco's goal is to just make as much money as they possibly can while the movement is trying to take them down. Yep. And it's a very much uphill battle, possibly even, it feels very unwinnable, but it does. But when you look at it, it could come down to very, very close situations where the movement is just like up against this behemoth. And meanwhile, the behemoth tobacco industry is just generating so much profit and killing off so many victims to do so. It's great. This game right here That is our product. If it sounds like a kind of game that you would want to play, that takes the board game medium to all sorts of new levels, where it kind of explains stories and teaches you through the mechanics of it all, give it a shot. It's very much a passion project by Emma Holland, and it shines right through. She talks all about her father, how he passed away, I think in his late 30s, early 40s from lung cancer. So, yeah, Doubt is our product. Definitely check it out. And I don't know if it was lung cancer. She just said because of smoking.
Somehow.
Yeah.
This one hit hard for me in particular. I've been hit by cancer in my life on multiple levels. My grandpa, and then my dad had cancer, and not necessarily lung cancer in all cases, but when it comes down to it, this hit hard, and I did play it. I have a huge respect for it. It is not on my list, but it falls in the same line as other games by Annabelle, where I would just say, you got to try this, even if it's once.
Yeah.
It's one of those games. It's gonna make you uncomfortable if you play, because as I noted, it's gonna make you incredibly uncomfortable when you play as, the man or the company in this one, or the corporation, but it does what it's supposed to. So I give the game kudos. Not on my list, but so much props to this one. And I think it's an incredibly important game that it goes in line with something, Ryan, you've said a lot, which is board gaming as an experience, or relating back to that world experience, or to kind of life.
Yeah.
And this, no surprise that it's a Hollenspiel game. Of course, that does that well, but there we go.
That was our product. My number 10. Now we do have a caller.
Hey,
we do have a caller, a regular caller.
And then after that, I'm just going to make a note. We'll make sure we hit on Marcel's comment too after that, unless Marcel calls in or something. But in the meantime, we do have a caller.
Are you calling him out to call?
No, I'm not. Sometimes he calls in, so I
calling out to call in.
Calling out to call in.
It. All right, we're gonna bring Tyler in 3, 2, and 1. Hello, sir.
Yo.
Howdy. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. It's been a busy week.
Sorry.
that and a busy 2023 of games. I actually had to adjust my list a couple of times of games I was going to talk about, because I'm like, I feel like I've talked about that one enough. So threw in one in the last there that definitely haven't talked about, but is super fun. So I definitely enjoyed it.
Awesome.
So you know the drill, right? So whatever game we talk about, if it's on our list, we'll pull it up. If it's not on the list, we'll go to BGA.
So I'll start with the first one that I'm gonna say is 99% on your list, Ryan. Is Halls of Hegra.
It is my number 2 on the list.
So
when you said that, I knew immediately what you were talking about.
Immediately. It's so good. Like we've talked about it before with the castle, or like the tower defense and that kind of element of it, the big building that there is with it. But it's very thematic. It's very with everything in it. You're trying to build up your supply, last out the Nazis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the German infantry up against you.
German infantry, and just outlast them and see if you can do so. And I haven't played it in probably like a month or so, but the 2 plays that I had of it, and the one that was actually right, it's a tough solo game. It's one of those that has kind of got me into this fix of where getting into solo games where you're probably not going to win it all the time, but you're going to have fun while doing so, because you're going to try to pick up, oh, I should have done this maybe last time. So now I'm going to do this to change up my strategy. If it works, it works. But there's a lot of dice rolling in this too that can definitely
there's
change
tons of dice rolling. And it's a solo game that what I love about it, in solo games you can't win, right? I hate when it's just unwinnable. Like when it's too brutal, it's not for me. But this game gives me that chance. That like I see what's going on and I see where I lost. I'm going to try again next time. And that's what I like about this game in particular versus, because I have yet to win Halls of Hegra. I think I played about like 4 times already.
I was going to ask how many times you played.
Yeah.
So.
And, but every time I feel like I'm so close. I even went to the easier difficulty, quote unquote, and still lost. But it's a game that uses its mechanics to kind of walk you through and tell the story. It starts as a push your luck bag builder kind of thing, and then it goes on to its worker placement, and then you're just like there's different levels where you're like trying to send people out to collect different resources, all while you're trying to build up your base and build up all the worker placement spots you have on your board. Halls of Hegra is fantastic.
I wanted to ask you both.
Yeah.
Replayability. I get a sense you talked about that desire to say, all right, I figured this part. I feel good about this. I want to try again because I came really close. Once you beat this, do you think it's one you come back to? Do you take a break? Like, where does this fall in the replayability category? Because I'm very impressed by the way you've described it. And it was in my house. I recognize it didn't actually put it on the table. It was actually on the table, technically, in the box. But
it's such a small box, too.
Yeah.
It's on camera. Yeah, it's right. Yeah. It's right above my gas lamp. Look how tiny that is. Like, it's so thin.
But to that point, the replayability, like, how often are you going to go back to this? Are you going to take a break from it, as an example, Tyler, and then come back to it? Are you going to kind of put this on the table, every once in a while? Like, where does it fall for you?
I think it's probably like a once every 3 month game for me. The replayability is definitely there. It's because there's 15 cards maybe in each different phase, because there's like 5 or 6 different phases that you go through or something like that. And you only draw like 3 or 4 of them each time. So the collective group of those set that you pull each time is going to be different every single time. So it's going to provide a different challenge every single play because of the different text on the cards or the weather on the cards or whatever it is.
Nice.
Plus, it's a worker placement where you add on additional worker placement spots, and the order that those come out are going to drastically change your strategy. Like, if you get a specific one early on in the game, maybe you'll focus on the snow shovel stuff, or you'll focus on going out into the field, or focus on getting that second gun out. Like it's very important to see what is coming out, and then figuring out and be ready to pivot. And I love, this. I love board games where I constantly have to pivot based on game situations, and this one just does it in spades.
Well, and I always joke that's a big reason why when I had started this channel and eventually met you, which I always laugh because it was through Facebook of all places, but that was where I think we connected in playing games, as we both like that tactical, like, I got to figure this.
Yeah,
the game changes. So I do appreciate that about this. I got to give this a better chance and get it on the table before the end of the year, because the way you've all described it, it clearly is one I'm going to like as long as I actually do the setup. So we'll correct that.
It's your favorite designer's favorite solo game.
I know it's my favorite designer's favorite solo game. Yeah,
more reason.
I know.
Well, good choice.
Yep.
Two more?
Yeah, my second one is definitely my heaviest one, and that is Nucleum. It's so beefy. There's so much going on with it, with the action tiles. If you're energizing, you're urbanizing. Oh my goodness, it's been some time since I played, but you have to build to certain areas. There's different ways to win. Once it's either 2 or 3 endgame goals have been hit, whether it's contracts, placement tiles have been plucked, or placement tiles. You hit 70 points, or you recharge 3 times. There's a lot of different ways that you can almost push the game if other players aren't doing, or they're taking their time, they're taking longer rounds before they recharge. You can kind of push it a little bit and see if you can pull it off. It is a board and dice, from what I've heard, a board and dice special where the insert is not great, and there's no instructions of how to put together the insert or where it is, so you rely on others to do it. But it's a big game to set up too. It's not quick. There's a lot of different pieces, and I really enjoy that the tech trees give you 4 different options. There's an A, B, C, and D board that you can choose. And each of them kind of give you a different guidance of maybe how you should play the game as that tech tree.
It gives me Civ vibes because I'm thinking of playing like Civilization or something on the computer and just working up my tech tree.
Yeah, and so it's super neat. Like B is probably one of the cooler ones. You see the 2 tiles at the bottom of that faction or that tree.
Yeah.
If you unlock it's one of the 3 or tech 3 level ones. You can get 2 additional tiles that you can use, and they have like special bonus actions on them. And they can be used to lay track. They can be used to connect or just play as a simple action to do those 2 different uses. I am crazy enough to play this solo, and David Turtsey designed that solo mode, and it's pretty good. It's a complex solo mode. There's a whole flow chart on the back of it that helps you kind of understand it a little more, but still it's one of those, it takes 3-4 times before you can fully understand and actually play that automa correctly. So
I mean, I've heard this game compared to it's Brass meets Barrage, right?
And I've never played either of them, so this was kind of my first throw into that world. Obviously Brass is a game that I feel like I should play as a heavy gamer that I would enjoy it. And Barrage the same way as I feel like I should play it at some point, but it's one of those that with my group, it's tough to get heavy board games to the table. So if I can solo it, I'll play it. But if I can't, it's going to be going to be some time or like a convention that I play it then.
Nice.
Well, you got one more.
I do have one more. That one is the Last Kingdom board game. So if you know of the Netflix series show, The Last Kingdom, when I first played this, I didn't know what the show was. I came to this blind, just playing it. It looks like a fun game. It's very thematic with the show because I watched through the whole show afterwards, and all the characters are brought into it. Main characters are brought into it, but it combines 2 mechanics of The King is Dead and Blood Rage with like kind of the minis in there in the battling.
And this is Gameland, so this is like the first time I feel like I've seen them do full. I don't know if I missed one of theirs, but the first time I've seen them do a full size game that's not Tiny Epic. Like, because most of the Gameland games are Tiny Epic games.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying most of the Gameland games, you see Gameland games on things, it's usually Tiny Epic games.
Yeah.
So I've always said, man, they did Land and Sea. I always forget that they did Heroes Land and Sea. Yeah. But for the most part, they're known for those. So it's always nice. I feel like they put a lot into a box, so it's nice to see it in that large form.
Yeah.
Did the IP draw you to clarify? Did the IP draw you in, or was it the game first and then you went and watched the show?
The game first and then watch the show. It was actually, I was going over to a friend's house and he's like, we're going to play this. And we played it with his wife and his son, who may have struggled a little bit. So we ended up playing it again a different time, like shortly afterwards. And it's so good. Like, the characters have their own unique abilities that they can do. I mean, obviously the goal is, if you're going to stay, it's the Saxons and the Danes, that you're choosing your side, but you can also flip flop sides if you want to get the scoring at the end of the round. It's really, really interesting in how you can work through it. And if you see the show, you start joking about some of the characters as you're playing through with it. It's one that I had played The King is Dead before at a con once, and I was really intrigued by that style of, like, you get a set amount of cards and those are your cards for that whole round of battles. You have to choose wisely when you're using them, because if you're not, you're out of cards and you're not going to be able to defend, move, do whatever you need to do to try to get points in that region. So super fun.
You got me 50% of the way there, because The King is Dead, has always intrigued me. Blood Rage, I don't have the best relationship with, but
You played Kingmaker with me, right?
I didn't play it with you, but I played it with.
Oh.
I almost bought it, and then I tried it out somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I almost bought it on a sale at Barnes and Noble at some point, and then I said, "Oh man, I should have bought that." And then I said, "I want to at least try it." So
It's a John D. Clare design too.
I know.
That is one, yeah.
John DeClaire is you can't go wrong. It's got some good names attached to it, that's for sure.
Mhm. And it's not super heavy either, so it's there's a lot going on with like card text that can be a little difficult, but it's definitely one that I haven't played in a while, but I would like to get back to the table because it can be a little cutthroat too. And I've never played Blood Rage either, but I've never played Blood Rage, and if that's where that aspect came from, but
Okay.
There's definitely some characters in there that's like, if you control, what are the brothers' names? I can't think of the two brothers' names. It's been a while since I've seen the show, but there's two brothers that are Danes. No, Guthrum and Ragnar is the brother of what's his name? I was about to say Jon Snow, and it's completely different IP.
Same difference.
I can't think of his name, but he's Ragnar's brother with one of the main actors. But if you have you have control of one area, you can remove one of the other people at the end of your turn every single time if you continue to have control. And it can completely change the game. So it's interesting.
Awesome. No, thank you for that. And by the way, we'll stay with us for a moment here. But hello to Mr. Coaster, who's in the house. Asking what it is. We'll have to show everybody where the board's at.
Let's go to the board.
Let's check out the board. And
where's the board?
There it is.
Lost
Here.
the board.
Nope. Found the board.
So to answer your question, we got my number 4 Apiary. We got number 2 for Ryan Halls of Hegra.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course we had talked about our favorite thing that we well, actually you're number 10.
My number 10 as well.
Yeah. And our favorite new to us is that second to last, and then our favorite expansion.
Yeah, it was on the very bottom.
And we always, by the way, always as is last year, separate that expansion out just because we wanted to make sure we did highlight an expansion for every year when we do this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
right, sir. Thanks
Awesome.
for calling in.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it, and always enjoy calling in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you in the chat.
Nice.
All right, see ya.
awesome.
Later.
So,
Mr. Coaster still needs to play Apiary.
yeah, well, add it to ShameCon.
ShameCon.
Yes,
Yeah.
we kind of got to make this happen, don't we? I'm just saying. I'm thinking out loud.
ShameCon?
Yeah, ShameCon.
ShameCon would be pretty cool.
ShameCon. Yeah, that sounds like a good thing.
Anthony,
you have nothing revealed on your list, so I think we got to go to you for your number 10. Before we do, remember call-board.com if you do want to call in with your top games of 2023, just like Tyler did. Also participate in the chat if you like instead. But certainly would love to see your beautiful faces. So please feel free to call in, call-board.com. Anthony,
Yo,
number 10.
my number 10 is right over here.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Oh, ooh, you got the wrong game for a second.
Run! This was a review copy, right?
Yes,
It was a review
This is a
copy.
review copy, correct.
So Run has this really caught my eye. Well, Farrah's Games we know does good stuff. This
Yeah.
caught my eye because of the artwork. Honestly, at first, it is Catch Me If You Can vibes,
Yes.
right? That
Yeah.
whole opening sequence and the credits and the animation and things like that.
It does look like that, yeah.
It really does look like that.
Yeah.
The theme music plays in my head when I look at this. This is a 2-player only game where one player is going to be the runner, right, trying to escape basically, and the other player is the authorities, whatever the nomenclature is in the game. But basically, you're the seekers. You're trying to find the person, and there are. I mean, I really only scratched the surface of this game when I played it with you that one time, Chris. There are a ton of scenarios and double-sided boards that add in all kinds of environmental things, like different places to hide and going onto rooftops and using zip lines and even going into the water and things like that. But essentially, it's a hidden movement game. You got your little board, your little screens there. And as the escapee, you're trying to go around and collect I think 2 or 3 items at various, stash points that you've left stuff around, and then eventually make it to this safe house sort of thing.
And to that point, there's the stash points, but there's guaranteed to be a van at least near 1 or 2 of them.
Yes.
So you're guaranteed to have your location somewhat available to.
Yeah.
And so it's designed very well in that way. And what's really neat to me, in my opinion with this one, is also the fact that as you're playing, say I win and I win 2 games, the game becomes harder for me. So even if I go to play you and it's your first time playing,
your rank,
my rank potentially over time is going to make it a little bit harder. So it's kind of neat. Eventually everyone might get to, I think it's level 5, right?
Yeah.
But and then
4 or
you're
5.
but I like that, and I thought that was really cool. So to me, there was a lot in this game, and just generally speaking, we scratched the surface, but it was enough that I'm happy to say that. I mean, this is definitely top 20 for me amongst the 60 or so games I played. But it was just, it doesn't surprise me just because I think they do a good job with that kind of 2-player, someone on the run game, because the Fugitive in particular, which was done by Fowler Games as well.
The game Fugitive.
The game Fugitive. I really like quite a bit. And this had that same vibe for it.
I think if you like Fugitive, you would definitely like this. I think if you like, going back now to, say, Mr. Jack, that series, or
Fury Dracula,
Scotland Yard, that kind of.
In a pretty quick 2-player game, though. It doesn't take long, so you can...
a very small box, but a very heavy box. Like I said, lots of stuff is in here, lots of scenarios. And, because of that leveling up thing, it almost has this sort of legacy kind of vibe to it. I mean,
and 4 different maps.
There's not things that are going to be revealed, so to speak, but it changes
it's campaigning.
It changes your position each time. So run has a lot of legs to run fast.
Yeah.
That's my number 10.
Mr. Coaster. I like that idea, dynamically changing difficulty based on your previous success. Need to check this one out.
And that's one of the first times I've seen it where it like historically goes to, like, we've seen
for sure.
Like that's you don't often see new. I feel like it's hard to do new. That's fairly unique to me. I'm very unique to me. I don't think I've really seen that before.
I don't think I have either. And I mean, it really makes a ton of sense, especially in a 2-player only game.
Yeah.
Right. Because think about how many asymmetric games there are where the entry point is tough for new players, because as the teacher of the game, you are in many ways teaching that person how to defeat you.
Yes.
Right. Because your faction plays different than theirs. This is very similar. So having that, making it, I'm like a pro at being the runner now.
Yep.
I'm going to have more disadvantages. It's going to be harder for me to do what I've been doing.
And
all the games.
I should point out, just because you won 2 games doesn't make you level 2. It takes a little bit more to get to level 2, even more to get to level 3. So you got to win a few. It's not like it's 5 wins gets you to level 5. So they did a good job, I thought.
Yeah, excellent.
There's an envelope in it too, which we didn't get to, but we played through enough. There's an envelope to reveal, and we don't even know what's in it. And we don't know what's in the envelope. So I can't even I can't spoil that for anyone, even if I wanted to, because I don't know. But
could be cool stuff.
Yeah.
Could be awful stuff.
It
Might
could
knock it off your list.
Could be like spiders or something.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God.
Right? Wouldn't that be gross?
Yeah.
That was a long con there.
Yeah, that would be a really long time. All right. Well, but that was Run. Yeah, good choice.
Well, it looks like we need your number 10 to even things out.
My number 10 was a game that I first played at PAX Unplugged when I went to one of the media events, and that is, of course, because let me just say, I love pirate themes. I love nautical. I dig it.
You're killing me with the anticipation.
But, well, look, I'm trying to cause some havoc here because I'm talking about Seas of Havoc. Rock Manor games. I am a fan of Rock Manor games. So this won't surprise many people. But I don't know if people thought would be my top 10. So I'm excited to talk about this one because this is one that has a lot of things going for it. One, you've got very specific deck of every character has a starting deck of cards that they're going to have that is going to help dictate movement. You've got a ship that you're going to be able to provide these upgrades to. And you've got these dynamic characters in the game.
Hmm.
They slot, which you can't see in that board, is the character cards actually slot into them. So it's kind of cool. Like they slot right in.
Oh, this board with
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
steering wheel?
I didn't.
What's that called in a ship? It's not a steering wheel.
Oh my God! Now I'm having don't put me on the
Go
spot.
ahead, go ahead.
No,
Continue.
anyways, I'm having a moment and you're making me rethink. No, so I like that, and the ability in this game in terms of moving around. There's a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of different stuff on the board that you don't want to go through. There's all these different ports. This is also worker placement. So you see all these spots on the board.
Mhm.
You're going to take different actions when you go to those spots. They're going to dictate resources you're getting or other actions you're taking, trade, etc. In the process of this, for moving, there will be battles. You will be fighting each other. So as you're going through, robbing, etc., whatever you may be doing, you do need to be mindful of everything on the board, including the fact that, and I'm just pointing this out, you can go from one side to the other. That's in the rules. So if I go all the way to the right, I'm going to come out on the other side. It's a weird little world. Accept it. But that's how the board works. So you're
Flat earther.
yes. The funny thing about this game that I will say is outside of production value is fantastic. The solo gameplay on this is fun. I got a chance to test it out briefly with the multiplayer, which I really enjoyed, because the card play in it, the fact that you are building up the deck of cards for yourself, because you are going to be collecting new cards that give you more ability to move around.
And is this like sandboxy?
I wouldn't call it sandboxy, because it's programmatic's not the word, but you're certainly trying to build the deck to move effectively.
Seaboxy.
But I wouldn't call it sandboxy, because this isn't like Western Legends or something like that, which I would describe as sandbox.
Yeah, for sure.
This one it's a nice combination of worker placement, a little bit that deck building of sorts that's happening, because you're buying that card. The cards you see on the bottom is the marketplace. That's where you're actually able to go to buy your cards. And again, trying to avoid going through some bad things, and including there's Kraken, like there's these other expansions. So you can add more into it. The other neat thing, like I said, I like the worker placement. I like the fact that that's part of the process. So you are placing those down in addition to the card play.
Are those the little boats?
Yeah.
Your workers? Okay.
Yeah, those are your little workers. And then the big boat on the board, which at the time I was doing just a quick recording to test something, and that's why they're laying down. But the thing I will say about this one is, look, Rockminer always does high production, but this game just felt unique to me in all the different games. But what stood out to me is I remember seeing this for the first time, and I forget if it was on Kickstarter initially and someone else. I forget I might be missing some of the story, but it looked really bland at one point when I looked at it. And then when Rock Manor got involved, suddenly it just had this look to it. And it completed my interest. And then I got to try it out at PAX Unplugged. Really enjoyed it. It's an interesting combination of mechanics. I'm not saying it's anything new or unique,
Sure,
but the combination of it, I think, plays together really well.
Yeah.
I like it. I think as a multiplayer game, when you're all trying to move around on the board, and strategically, do the actions you want to do, I think this game plays really well, and it's pretty quick to pick up.
Okay.
And the art is simple, but I really like the simplicity of just, hey, this is your motion. You're going to be able to go up one and over one with this card play.
Was this a review copy for us too?
I bought this one.
You bought this one? Okay.
Oh, I bought this one. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm a large fan of Rock Manor games. I think on my top 10 last year, Maximum Apocalypse was on it, which is one of my favorite games. And this one I can promise won't crack my top 20. Generally speaking, I very often will end up buying a game from them if I don't have a review copy. I don't think we ever got a review copy except for one game from them. So
Set a Watch, right?
Set a Watch, yeah. So
cool. And that was Seas of Havoc.
Yes, Seas of Havoc.
Cool. We can go on to number 9.
Number 9.
Do you want to do your number 9, Anthony?
Sure, why not?
Do it.
My number 9, so I can see through these novelty glasses here, is...
It's hard to look at you with those. So I know what your eyes
if
are.
I fall asleep, you can't tell.
There you go.
Actually, my number 9 was mentioned in the chat
Was it?
Oh.
Yeah, so we forgot to actually
Oh, we gotta
to
go back. So
Marcel.
this is a good reminder.
Oh, with
So let's go
Marcel.
back to this one. Yeah.
All right, so it is one of those.
Well, can I first mention, because I know you haven't played Trick Shot, so I'll say Trick Shot. That's the reason it's
Second
not
edition.
on mine. Second edition. It's a reprint. Trick Shot easily on a list for me if it wasn't a reprint. Trick Shot's fantastic.
You have it, right?
I own it
Yeah.
and I dig it.
Yeah.
It is so good.
So it's not Raising Robots.
No, it is not.
Mindspace.
Nope, never heard of it.
Dracula versus Van
Never played it.
Helsing.
We may need to talk about that, but let's do his first.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's wait. Clearly, that's not the correct number of O's.
No, it's not. I think there's only 4.
It's
O's.
4 O's.
Yeah.
Is it 4 or 5?
It's 4.
It's 4. So BOOoop is the Halloween
Ooh.
Halloween
Bob.
version. Excuse me.
Bob?
Yeah, Bob. I don't know.
Bob.
Will they alternate?
Yeah. Boop it. Bop it. Sorry.
So if you've never seen BOOoop, it comes with these awesome little wooden cat meeples and this really cool board that is essentially a bed top, right? A quilt of blanket
Yeah.
of some kind. It's even
Quilt of
fabricated.
Evil.
There you go. And this one has Halloween theme. So you've got some of your kittens and the little pumpkins there, and some with little witch hats.
And this was during our stream. Remember we streamed this
We
one?
did stream this.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what this
That's
was.
right. That's right. So this is a 2-player only abstract strategy game, despite the the theme there. It is pretty abstract. You're trying to graduate your small kittens into larger cats.
Yep.
By getting 3 in a row in
Yeah, you get 3 kittens in a row.
it could be diagonal.
And it could be diagonal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the thing that this adds from the original version, besides obviously the thematic artwork is different, but it has these ghost cats. So each player gets 1 ghost cat, which can break the rule of placement essentially because it travels along the seams of the
Yeah.
board as opposed to on the squares.
Like ghosts normally do.
Like
Yeah.
ghosts would. Yeah. I mean, no self-respecting ghost is going to step on.
Yeah.
No.
They're going to go on the
Goes right
seams.
through.
Right, goes right through.
Right through, right by.
And I'm going to sound uneducated because I forget exactly what the ghost cat does, but I believe if you pass by an opponent's cat,
Yeah.
you
They,
poop it.
Yeah.
It's not just an opponent's cat.
It's
And
yours
everybody
too.
else
Your
too.
own
That's
cat.
right.
So you have to be really
Because you're scaredy cats.
Right.
Right?
you have to be very smart about your play. And this actually, to me, when I think about BOOoop, it puts it ups the game
Yeah.
for me. And this is the one that honestly the kids want to play now. When I talk about this game, they really like that ghost.
Well, that's another reason why I got excited when I saw this come out because I hadn't picked up the original version yet.
Yeah.
And then this came out, I was like, that's it. Now this is the reason to get this game. for
And
sure.
there was some talk that once these are gone or whatever, we may not see this again for a while or whatever. So I think I grabbed it just in case too at the time, but it definitely then I found myself playing this one more.
Yeah.
And
Of course.
And
And you don't even have to play with those if you don't want to. You can play the regular version of this game just with the Halloween.
well,
Yeah.
and that's kind of my point.
Okay,
So
so
if
you
you
have
have
to
a
do
chance to grab this one and you don't own BOOoop,
yeah, you're getting both games.
just get this one and enjoy because to me, that's a steal for you because now you're
Yeah.
getting
And you know what? In a crowded space, and you have a large collection of games, there are plenty of 2-player abstract games, right?
Sure.
So for it to stand out as tough, because it has a Halloween theme, I'm going to break it out around that time of
Yes.
year purposely, right? Where as
Mm.
opposed to the other version might get lost in the shuffle of all the other great, if I'm in the mood to play a 2-player abstract game, I might not always go for that. But
Yeah.
this come out once a year, fantastic.
agreed.
That's my number 9.
Boo. Mr. Coaster bringing up that it's not just fun to play. It's fun to say.
Yes,
Marcel also saying, don't judge his liberal use of the letter
That was
O.
a little too much. A little too much. And I see attorney copies in the chat.
Hello.
What up? What up? What up?
Hello, hello.
Prove you are not a bot.
He's not a bot.
No,
Come
we
on,
know he's
come
not a
on.
bot.
He lives right down the corner.
That doesn't mean he can't be a bot.
I was just there delivering cookies. I know.
Also doesn't mean he can't do it. Did you see him eat any of the cookies?
No, because
Then he could be.
that's true.
Do Android stream of electric cookies.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we go to
Um,
your number 9?
Is there anything else
well,
in Marcel's
yeah.
list there
So-
that touches any?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we have to go back.
There is
Uh-huh.
Please
yes.
go to number 8.
Is that Dracula versus Van?
Dracula versus Van Helsing.
Oh, Van Helsing.
So
Multiple lines.
this
is a BGA screenshot.
Yes.
Wilder.
I'm going to be perfectly candid with everyone. I have played this a lot. It's all on BGA.
Okay.
And it was enough to the point that it will get a physical copy of this one. First and foremost, 2-player game. It's a trick-taking area. I think a trick-taking, sort of protecting your area control, but ultimately trying to defeat. It's area control, but you're
like in 5 different lanes.
Yeah, and you're trying to defeat Dracula if you're Van Helsing. If you're Van Helsing, you're trying to convert, bite 4 of these and get people and make them your victims.
That's your Dracula.
Well, you
Yeah,
roles there.
Yeah.
Oh, did I switch? I thought I said that.
No,
Dracula does the biting.
Well, yeah, I thought I said that. Anyways, Dracula bites. Van Helsing slays.
Sucks.
I mean, I would say played this on BGA quite a few times now. And what I love is you've got cards of powers, and the powers get used when you discard them. So the powers get better and better, but the higher the number, the better they get. The lower of a number, they may not actually be that helpful. For example, I think it's a 2 that reveals one of your cards to your opponent.
Oh, that reveals the top card of the deck, I think.
Maybe it's one that
maybe it's opponent.
1 reveals your card, I think 2 reveals top card of a deck. But I think what's fascinating about this is it really makes you think a lot. The other thing is on the right side, what you see is essentially the order, and that what is the trump suit. So you've got trump suits in play. So if you're familiar with trick taking, you want to be mindful of those trump suits, because say you've got the same number, but your trump suit is higher, you're going to win. And those areas from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are your rows. So if you're Dracula, again, 4 victims, and you will have taken victory in one of those areas. But Dracula's got also limited health. So if you take out Dracula by winning in one of those tricks each round, every trick you win, you're going to do some damage to Dracula. And it just, to me, it feels like a really well-balanced game. It combines a lot of fun mechanics, and it does this trick-taking in a way that I feel like I don't dislike trick-taking, but I think it can be disinteresting to people sometimes. I think this puts it in a thematic, but also a mechanical way that is just really good.
Yeah, it's a trick taker that turns it into a 2-player battler. And honestly, the vibe I get is as if you took a trick taker and put it to something like Battle Line or Shot and Totten, or even like Air, Land, and Sea, where you're fighting down different lanes and you're fighting all these different tricks, kind of managing all these different tricks, but you're directly up against another opponent. So it's a 2-player battler that is all done through a trick taking game. Yeah. And I think it does it incredibly well.
Yeah, so this is my number 8 for a reason. I may have only played this on Board Game Arena, but I played it enough times that, man, I feel really sure that this is one I need in my collection. It will be in my collection at some point. And I guess if anyone here, you've got plenty of 2-player games, but 2-player games is...
There's always another room for 2-player.
Yeah, 2-player games, I'm going to have 2 shelves worth.
And Halloween-themed ones.
There you go.
Yeah.
Have you played this too?
So the only reason why it's not on my list is because I played it today for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Really,
Literally.
well, I played it in alpha in Board Game Arena, and it was really awful in alpha. Now and now in production, full production, played against you a couple times. It's pretty great.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so that will be my number 8 on this year's list, Dracula versus Van Helsing.
Cool. Hey, what up, Kenny? How's it going?
And no, thank you for bringing that one up, Marcel.
That's my Ghostbuster friend.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenny.
Who are you going to call?
Kenny.
That's who you're going to call?
Yeah, I'll call Kenny.
Yeah. He missed BOOoop, by the way. That has ghost cats.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're number 9 then, I suppose. Friendly reminder before we do that, call Dash Board if you'd like to call in and share your top games of 2023.
Or just sit back in the chat.
Or sit back, hang out in the chat. Whatever you like.
As I roll out my number 9.
Number
So why don't you
9.
sit back and pour yourself a drink.
Distilled's coming up.
Distilled number 9. And look, also I had to include the Ghostbuster and Pee-wee's Big Adventure reference.
There you go.
In this game.
Cool.
Okay. Distilled, first of all, is a game that both of you should play. I think both of you would actually enjoy this game. I know you started to play it and you never finished it.
No, I played it and liked
one?
it, but I did not feel confident enough in my play to feel
Play it again.
It didn't quite crack, but I think this very much is in that top 20 range.
Yeah.
Potentially. I don't know, top 10, but it was good from the mechanical point.
So Distilled, right, is a game where you are trying to make different spirits, like drinking spirits, and you're fulfilling different recipes. And you're doing that by collecting different alcohol cards. You're collecting different water cards and yeast cards. And then you're also getting different ingredients to fulfill different recipes. But anytime you need to make a drink, you got to put it into a barrel.
Sure.
And you got to shuffle the deck and also add in additional alcohol cards into it. You shuffle the whole deck up. And then you take the top and bottom card out of the card of there. So you take both the top card and the bottom card out. And then you flip it on over. And hopefully you made a drink. Hopefully. I don't know.
But they could both be water.
Well, they could be moonshine.
Oh,
They could be moonshine.
Yeah.
Or vodka.
You go blind.
Yeah. So you're making all these different spirits and then you're selling it out or preserving it. You'll be getting different victory points. You could do aged spirits as well, like whiskey and stuff, and they'll sit in a barrel and age as games go on and score you massive points.
Cool.
Because they'll be adding flavor cards into it at the end of it. It's awesome.
Wow.
You guys should play this game.
There's a lot that was going on in this game that I think the first time I was trying to teach myself.
I think you both would dig this one.
I think I had to take a reprieve from it, but I do want to play this and get at the table and see. It's one of those times where I think of sometimes it'd be nice to do the reevaluation of some of these lists, because to go back and say, okay, what would I have actually slotted in now that I've added a few more, which I think speaks to why we do this when we do it in the first place, just because we get more in. But Dave Beck, by the way, was an interview on Creators Corner.
Yes.
So I'll note that here and just certainly put a link to that conversation. If anyone wants to check it out, it was a really great conversation.
And his next game in Luthier is going to be on crowdfunding in June.
Luthier is, I think I said I want that one.
Yeah, you called.
I think I said
caught all of our eyes at PAX Unplugged.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on the list for grabbing that one. So
Tyler, not a fan of Distilled, but don't worry. You know,
but he can. That's
make
not
us-
a bad plan. Sipping whiskey.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think we need a distilled whiskey night. Now, the thing is this, right? If we're going to have a distilled whiskey night, we're going to have to probably invite over our next caller who is waiting right now. And I'm sure would love to have a whiskey distilled night with us. So we're bringing on Ian in 3 and 2 and 1. Hello, Ian.
He's drunk.
Oh, you're muted.
He's drunk.
You're muted. Uh-oh.
He's
There we
muted
go.
on his end.
There you go.
There you go.
Too much moonshine.
Yeah, I was just about to type into the chat that if we did a distilled night, we have to bring every liquor that is in the game.
That's what I was saying.
There you go.
Yeah, not just whiskey, but I'm talking like mezcal, vodka,
Kashaka.
and we
He's
have to
bringing
go
the
all in.
moonshine.
That's the only way to play.
That's the best part. We all make the moonshine in the bathtub, and the winner gets to drink the moonshine.
Yeah, buddy.
And by the end of it, we'll have invented the third expansion to Distilled
There you go.
between the three of us. Yeah,
There you go.
As we get more lubricated. Yeah, sorry guys, I had to put the little one down soon, and I was on a work call, so I caught the back end of your expansions, and I don't think, because I know you guys pretty well now, I don't think there's anything that surprised me too much.
Well, here, I'll show the list just so you can see. On Barrows, we had Copper Frog,
picks.
Find Muck, Field of the Cloth of Gold, Seas of Havoc, Dracula versus Van Helsing, Apiary. I had Cosmic Frog, Find Muck, Ra, Doubt is Our Product, Distilled, and then Halls of Hegra. And then Anthony had Cascadia Landmarks, Cockroach Poker, Run, BOOoop. That's it.
And we should point out
that's pretty solid. So yeah, I
should point out, Ian, just so you know, that one row, if you did, feel free to add into this, if anyone wants to add this in, was our favorite new to us in 2023.
Yeah,
which is why they aren't 2023.
That's why Ra was there for me.
Yeah.
No, that's some good stuff. So I was kind of racking my brains about 2023 because for me 2023 has been a lot of 2-player games because Ryan, you and I have had the opportunity to play at different times.
Yeah.
And then also I went back to a lot of old style Games Workshop, some old style mini games, and quite a lot of like really old MB retro games. So when I was kind of thinking about 2023 releases, I actually found this quite challenging because I found that a lot of the games I was defaulting to were the back end of 2022. However, I have got about 5 or 6 games to briefly mention that may overlap. I don't know. They may overlap with stuff you haven't yet revealed.
So let's do this. If they overlap, we'll pull it up. If
Yeah.
not, do us a quick elevator pitch.
Okay. So my first one is Battle of Versailles.
Okay. Technically, didn't make my list because technically it says 2024 release
in the US.
In the US, well, on Board Game Geek.
But I picked this up in 2023 because I imported it.
Yeah.
So I'm still saying this is a 2023 release.
You may see this on my list for 2024.
Well, I bought it at
for
PAX
that reason.
in 2023
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, since I went by his rules, I don't be surprised if I talk about
This
it.
guy's blaming me.
All right.
No,
But
I'm not blaming you.
2-player ward game set in the world of fashion. But to me, this is on my list because this is one of the best games that really nailed theme and mechanic.
Yeah.
To have the catwalk model walk along and indicate what actions you can choose from, I think is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then to have the idea that you are laying out supporters to gain points in the audience, watching the catwalk model, and they represented historical figures who were there at the actual real fashion show.
Yeah.
You hit another game of mine. Dad is our product for theme and mechanic.
That yeah.
I saw that earlier on. But yeah, Battle of Versailles, I think, is a wonderful kind of theme mechanic mix.
Yeah.
So
And
that's fine.
in, I gotta note, we saw this because we were by the booth at PAX Unplugged and grabbed it because there was only so many copies. Because I'm pretty sure Kickstarters and other things were still not even out yet for it, and they just happened to have a bunch at the one booth. So we grabbed it, and I was so glad because, like I said, this is one I may be talking about based on the BGG thing, but when it comes down to it, I really like this one, and I was just glad to add it to that 2-player collection because I had some disappointing games for 2023 in the 2-player department, and this one the opposite. it is so well designed, and it's a competitive game to say the least, with some really neat and unique artwork that just captures the entire vibe.
Yeah. It's
so
striking.
that's I've got 2 other 2-player games on here. One is Sky Team that I saw in the chat. Somebody had mentioned. I don't know if that's on anyone's list here, but I only played this for the first time a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
And I was at a business convention. I played through about 10 games of it. I thought, again, for a game that I overlooked because I was still in the mindset of the game and the mind about those style of games that you play in silence. And in a way, I'm annoyed that I overlooked this at Gen Con last year and that I'd waited 6 months before I played this, because what a fantastic experience. And to me, it wasn't a game. To me, it was an experience of trying to work out order of operations with my game partner in silence, with all these different pressures being thrown at you. And where I think the game shines is the modularity of adding in the different airports to land on, the different weathers, and which effectively hit the different levels of expertise. And I was incredibly surprised about this. I did have somebody as a pilot who I knew play it and said, the whole point about being a pilot is we communicate.
Yeah.
So as for theme, maybe it's a little bit lacking there, but the idea about putting the flaps down, putting landing gear down, dealing with your altimeter, dealing with your pitch. And I really like the idea of managing the airports. And as a Brit, the easy airport's meant to be Heathrow, but man, they really keep hammering planes in Heathrow. I think that's the second easiest module. But I thought they actually really captured the nuances from different airports around the world, and like the nuances of landing on ice, they really captured well in that module. So that to me was a real pleasant surprise. Really good price point, fairly easy self-teach, and very easy to get to the table with gamers and non-gamers. So that kind of hit a lot of different heads for me.
Can I note too, Ian, that the thing that stands out for me, because I have a copy of this, the modules, there's like so much to this game, and there's a lot of people I know who've played this on Board Game Arena who then may not even know the breadth of the game that exists in that box, because there's so much to this game. And the mod and you could do this. I can say I can play this with my 10-year-old, right? Like this can be played with my 10-year-old, but it feels deeply strategic in the level that I could play with a gaming group, with friends from a gaming group. Like it stretches along a kind of a wide audience, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who used to be a pilot. He doesn't fly the planes anymore. He does other things, but he's excited to play it, because when I showed him this, he's like, dude, we need to play this. So I do think, like I said, it may not be perfect to that point of communication, right, or thematics, but I think you're right. It lands those airports in a really unique way that they're all a little different. And there's a lot of them in it. So there's a lot of game. This game, pardon the pun, it's got a lot of runway.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to work on my pun game tonight. I can see that already. I agree. Yeah. I would happily land this on my table.
Oh, jeez.
Any time of the day.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
I don't know if that hit the same dizzy heights that Barros has pumped.
Oh my gosh.
I need a vomit bag.
Yeah.
So my third 2-player, and you guys are going to be like, I can't believe you said this, is Lorcana. And I was kind of
Lorcana.
I was like
Lorcana.
anti-Lorcana at first, and then I played it and I was like, wow, I've played this fairly consistently since Gen Con last year. And what I really like is the evolution of the game over the last 6 months. The way that each new release layers in a different nuance. The engine building actually still runs through all the 3 seasons that are now out. And I really like the fact that at its burr level, I can pull this out with a 7-year-old with ratio.
Yeah.
At a deeper level, I can play it with a heavy game, and we look to engine build. And then you're playing kind of mitigation, you're playing damage control, you're playing aggression. So the variety in decks. And as a Disney fan, the artwork's stunning, and the mechanic on each card really ties into the player that you are playing. And it doesn't just become I'm going to kill your character, you're going to kill my character, which has been criticisms of other well-known trading card games. The questing element. And now we have locations, so you can go to different locations and do different things. So I was never an advocate of TCGs, because I know myself and I was worried about going down the rabbit hole and needing to build the most competitive kind of decks. For all the criticism and issues Ravensburger had last year with the initial Wave 1 release, I think this game has bounced back incredibly. Stock is now everywhere. The market's calmed down, so it's far more accessible. And what an easy to play, interesting, strategic TCG. So for me, that hit my 2-player list. And I also like the fact that you can actually play it at multiplayer.
And it works well multiplayer?
Because the effects talk about opponents. So you can play, there are kind of loose rules to play 4-player within kind of framework. But you can play 3 or 4-player, and then you've got this almost battle royale with the first person to get to kind of the 20 points. But yeah, I was incredibly surprised. And when I think back to games I've played a lot over 2023, this is one of them, which
Ian,
surprised me.
Something?
Yep.
Can you get I know the expansions. I've seen the expansions. Can you get the stuff from the first starters now as well? Because I've seen the expansions. I don't think I've seen like the first kind of sets out there nearly as much.
So the starter packs are still fairly well available. The booster pack, the booster boxes are fairly limited. Well, I say very limited. I think if you shop around, you can still pick them up at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
But I think as the game becomes more nuanced, people are now buying individual cards. There's a lot of information out there if you dive down into deck building. Whether there will be another wave of another printing of the first wave. But what I also like about this is the Disney IP is so well known to us all. So I was super excited in the last wave because we got a bunch of Dalmatians.
Yeah.
And you can have
101 of them.
you can have 99 of the same card in your deck to represent the kind of 101 Dalmatians.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then you get Perdita and Pongo as the two adults to make 101. You know, I haven't played. I'd love to see somebody play that. But that's what I really like about what they've done with this game system. So there's some friendly twists that makes it very accessible, yet at a strategic or tactical level, there's a lot of game in there for somebody to play.
Awesome.
What else did I have on my list?
I do want to bring up some comments, by the way. +1 for Lorcana, but I haven't kept up with expansions. Tyler's saying he's been intrigued, but the TCG factors prevented him from going into it for that exact reason. It's fair. And Danielle's saying, just hopping on to see Lorcana, one of my favorite TCGs. So
I agree.
Awesome.
That's kept me out a little bit too, because I'm bad enough keeping up with Marvel Champions, and that's an LC. You know,
yeah, I don't even worry about missing out on something.
Yeah, so
I get that.
I definitely.
What else did I have? Surprise for you guys, staying in the Disney theme. Dixit Disney.
What was it?
Dixit Disney Edition.
Dixit Disney.
Yeah,
I've seen this on the shelf.
Hang on.
I've seen this.
I love Dixit as a game, but the re-implementation, the production quality is out of this world with the wooden Dixit Disney style meeples.
That's these right here. It looks like, right?
They're amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Oh wow, I love the. Oh my goodness. Oh, they even have a Toy Story in there.
Oh yeah,
But
right.
I'm gonna tell you my reason. I think Dixit's a great game anyway. I think it's super fun. And this is Disney, so again, accessible to bring with the family, but also to play at a deeper level after with some gamers after a few beers. But I use this in research. The US Army uses this to increase creativity in special forces.
What?
Yep.
That's wild.
Now the British Army doesn't.
Oh.
You know, we've got higher standards than Dixit.
Wow.
But
wow.
yeah, no. So I got back into Dixit through doing some work with a guy at Leavenworth who works in Army Staff Command and trains Army leaders in tactics, and they are using this currently to improve creativity and creative thinking. So I got back into this with through work with him back in the last year, and then bought Disney Dixit, and this is now my favorite Disney.
The art's great.
Nice.
And that's what I like about
it. Been really good.
Yeah,
in my opinion, there's like one or two that I haven't loved as much, but for the most part, Dixit art is like it's just really interesting and can evoke a lot of different kind of thought prospects to your point about the creativity and thinking about what someone's trying to get at. And if it's Disney Dixit, I can imagine you can make Disney Dixit 2 with more stuff because you've got plenty of IP there.
Well, and the fun thing about this to me was trying to figure out what Disney movies or characters are portrayed in the abstract.
Yeah.
So kind of another layer to the game, not just kind of think about the ideas or the words or the concepts that people are pushing out there, but can I identify the Disney characters personally? I found that quite interesting and challenging. But yeah, I think it was a wonderful game, a very timely release for Disney and the publishers, but a beautifully done game. And again, not a game that I imagine you guys would have thought I'd have had on some of my games of the year.
I don't know, maybe. But you probably play it with your son, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like Dixit a lot, though. Yeah. I think Dixit is a great game for breaking the ice, creativity. You talk about it's not just kids to me. I think it has a big place in what it can do. To your point with you mentioned creativity, but I think it's a good icebreaker, quite frankly. So you get to know how someone thinks when you see their reaction.
And then my last my last three, and this is it. And there may be a little overlap. That's why I left them to the end.
Sure.
So the first one, I don't think there will be any overlap, is a game called The British Way by GMT.
No.
And it is the Coin Light series. And I love coin games. I love the idea of asymmetry and forced decisions based upon how your predecessor player decided. So in the new kind of Coin Light, it really limits that and takes away one of the style of options in a coin game. But this, to me, a game that just focuses on British actions around the world kind of really hit home. The historical accuracy is great. A game for GMT, the production quality is there. And I like the distillation of 4-player coin games now into a 2-player experience.
Yeah.
Because it very much becomes a card-driven tug-of-war with the asymmetry of the actions, that if you choose this action, you force me to take that action.
And this one, it has 4 separate ones.
That's so it's got Cyprus, it's got Malaya.
Yeah.
It's got kind of actions that the British Army was involved in from 45 to 62, I want to say, something like that.
Cool.
At the end of the empire, Kenya, Palestine. But a great introduction if people are on the cusp at getting into heavier style conflict theme. I'm not going to say war game because it's conflict themed.
Yeah.
And I think that's where GMT are really hitting the nail on the head with distilling down serious mechanics to slightly lighter mechanics and choosing very interesting periods of history to now get to the table. So that's on my list. And then I'm going to highlight Kingmaker, the 2023 reprint
Okay.
of the old Avalon Hill. So technically a new game of 2023.
Yeah.
Because there were some significant rule changes. But I think what was really cool about this in 2023 is this game had an incredible following that has been so hard to get hold of for 15, 20 years. And they did this beautiful version, streamlined the map, and a great area control with some kind of economic elements in it. And I think this is a wonderful game at all player counts, and a very clever game in how you have to move and manipulate where you have your armies and how they can interact. And it also is really nice about the informal alliances and the need for informal alliances, especially at higher player counts. So I love backstabbing and treachery in games. Because that's not something that we do in real life. And to me, games are a great escapism.
Sorry.
So, well, I hope I don't backstab you. I hope you guys don't. But I love the idea of camaraderie and friendship and all that in real life. So I think it's really nice that we can go into a game and we can be a completely different person and nobody gets injured or nobody gets hurt. And that's the power of gaming. And I think for Kingmaker, I like that about Kingmaker, that you do want to lie, cheat, steal, form an alliance, then break it.
Yeah.
So very good, and production qualities knocked it out of the park.
We'll try it out. It looks kind of wild too. It looks like you can go above 6 players too.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's brilliant, and we should do it. I've got a like an 8-foot map.
Oh man.
So big map. Yeah. We can use all the stuff from here, but on a massive.
You and I will do it. I got a feeling. I got a feeling they're going to step out.
Yeah, I don't know if it would hit Anthony's list.
We're gonna go play Dixit, Disney.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you Dixit. Yeah,
there you go. Couple rounds.
And then my last one, I left this because there may be overlap because I played this with at least one of the three of you, and that is Rats of Wistar.
Oh
yes.
Not on our list.
It didn't make the list, but I liked it a lot.
Okay. So I was trying to come up with, I'm a big, as you guys know, a big Euro player. I was trying to come up with a Euro that had a little bit of an edge to it and was a little bit different. And I also had an idea about what you may be revealing. So I wanted to kind of talk about something a little bit different. And to me, the theme of being a rat or a mouse, tunneling outside and building your little rat hole, and then scurrying through the house to find the big piece of cheese. I was like, what a crazy theme.
Yeah.
And that's what drew me into it. And I think it's a fairly solid Euro. I like the, the rondel style action mechanic. There's some really nice engine building. There's some very good chain actions that come out of the engine that you build. A typical Euro with multiple paths to victory. It is very much a point salad Euro.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was to highlight one downside is the engine building can get so complex.
Yeah.
That one player can have like a 15-minute turn because they're a card effect triggering another card effect, triggering another card effect, then they pull up a card, and then they get another card effect. That does happen. I played it a couple of times. But the artwork is great. One of the actions is you can move your rat through the house, and then you can set up little rat camps in rooms. And I mean, I can almost imagine, living in an older property, whether there's little mice or rats doing that in walls or underneath your floorboards, and they're scurrying about at night. So I like the idea of being like this clandestine rat running through the house, trying to discover stuff. But these are super smart rats. They're building these great mechanical machines and inventions. And yeah, to me, it's a really solid Euro. And the theme pushes it into a Euro that I would always happily bring to the table. And easier to get into, I think, than some of the Lacerda games, which I'm a big fan of. And some of the games like Marrakesh and the ones that maybe are a little bit more complex to bring to the table. But yeah, and I thought it was an incredibly different style of Euro for to come out. I'm
excited to try it.
So yeah, they were kind of my... I've got some other mentions, but I'm not going to talk about them. But I think they were ones that I thought are going to be different from the three of you, and hopefully maybe interesting for people out there listening and watching and commenting, because they're a little bit different to the typical choice that I would normally make, I think.
Yeah, I always say thank you for sharing some different choices. And rats, like I said, rats will start because I only got the one play in. And it was still kind of on the cusp. It's one I want to play again, but I did really enjoy that play/learn that we had at PAX Unplugged with this one. So it's definitely one I want to get to table again. And you've got to play this one.
Yeah, I definitely got to play it.
So. And I'm excited so I'm going to stick around on here as long as I can tonight. So I'll be excited to see what unfolds and hopefully see what happens in the chat. So
yeah, man.
Intrigued, guys. Good to see you all.
Good to see you too.
Sounds good.
I'll see you soon.
I will drop off and we'll catch up in person soon. I'll stay lurking in the virtual world.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Have a good night. Speak soon.
Later. All right. So I'm going to pull up the board.
I guess we should jump into my number 9.
Yes, sir.
Number 9 is one that was a review copy. It is one that I believe it was one that I really enjoyed the play of, and I was surprised by it. It's Kutna Hora.
I've heard of this one.
Yeah, was this on anyone else?
This is on my list.
Really?
It is.
What number?
It is way up at number 4.
Nice. Yeah, Anthony, I'm intrigued what your thought about this, because for me, this game had the board looks like a lot is going on, and I suppose a lot is going on.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
from the play, there really was only so many different actions you were taking. So it was one of these games that I felt like was very straightforward in the long run. The thing I want to point about this game before we even outside of the mechanics of it was I love the economic system and the fact that with all these actions, and we utilized the app when we played this.
That was
phenomenal.
Which was fantastic. And then again, we did the playthrough of this, which I'll share a link to in the comments as well as connecting up to this video. The app just helps streamline the game so much. But even if you look at this physically, when certain things happen, you're essentially going through and changing the cards within this device of sorts that is going to then,
which is also cool in its own right.
Right.
Yeah.
It is, and I want to give it credit because the app does it well, but the device is neat. Suddenly your stuff is worth more or worth less. And so you're constantly thinking about what you have based on the changing economy in this game. And to me, honestly, that won me over. The other thing is, as a starting fact, as your starting board, you have some of these different it's the resources technically, or it's the
What do you mean?
On your player board?
on our player board.
Oh, yeah.
If you go on the bottom left or bottom right
Right
here.
here?
Yeah, no, right over here.
Here?
Yeah.
This thing. The houses?
Yeah, no, not houses, to the left. We each have
Oh.
different starting
Yeah.
pieces on our board.
Like what we control in the economy.
What we control in the economy. So
Yeah.
our economies are completely different.
Yeah.
So,
everything's silver. It's just
Yes.
the base
Oh,
price.
well, that's right.
Right.
So you're not
or
actually
whatever.
spending any money in the
Yeah.
game. It was for something for me. This is on the heavier end for me, right?
Yeah.
But
That's why I said really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how much I really liked it.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was that involved, and I really, really think the app is why it's so high on my list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because it streamlines, it really does streamline it, like you said, but it also takes away for me a little bit of the AP because you're not constantly doing those calculations, right? And planning something and then go and execute it and be like, oh crap, I miscounted that. I can't do that. Let me go back and rethink my whole turn now while everybody else watches me do it. That is something that keeps me from maybe enjoying some of these heavier games.
Yeah.
So I really, really appreciate that integration, and that made the game very enjoyable.
Plus, there's a lot of rules nuances that it
Sure.
offloads.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
And
It almost cleared up a lot of questions without us even trying.
Because the app wouldn't let you do something.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, of
Exactly.
course it wouldn't, because you can't do that.
The app, I don't like to use the word game changer very often. I think it gets overused. But in this case, the app was truly a game changer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I agree.
I have had, I won't get into detail on all the different games, but I feel like over the past 2 to 3 years, I have very rarely liked an app. Very rarely have I felt an app was super helpful for a game. So this was really nice.
I mean, CGE is no stranger to this. You have Deal with the Devil that came out the previous year. You have Alchemist. They're both app-driven kind of games.
Sure.
And CGE also, they have like support apps for a bunch of their other games too.
Yeah.
So I think Kutna Hora, City of Silver was solid because of the app. It didn't make my list. Did not make my list at all. But let me tell you, this game right here was pretty solid. So
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that it came
I
out.
love that it's on your list too, because I feel like this this was definitely one that caught my attention, and I did not expect it. Like they described it. We met with them at PAX Unplugged.
See, I wasn't there I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So like to me, even more so, right? That I didn't even know this game was not on my radar at all.
Yeah.
And that's how much I enjoyed it. So that to me, that speaks to how good of a game
Yeah.
it is.
Cool. So we have a caller, and I know him. Don't
That's
worry.
good.
I know him. I know him. Now, I'm very excited to bring him in because he's calling in after having an appendicitis. I know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm bringing him in 3 seconds. 3 and 2, 1. Hey, Bob.
Oh, hey there. How's it going, guys?
How are you feeling?
Oh, I saw you were alive, and I needed to pick me up while I'm laying in the hospital bed.
Oh, my goodness.
Dude, we're making history here, right? This is our first
hospital
call for sure.
So bear with me, as things are probably going to be a little short, but I did promise Ryan I'd call, so the least I could do is call.
Oh, my goodness. You didn't have to.
No, I fulfill my promises, Choo Choo Boy.
That's true. He calls me the Choo Choo Boy because of this show. Bob is a friend from the Windy City Ghostbusters.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And you called him before.
I was talking about Gen Con 2023.
Yeah.
The last one we were doing the post Gen Con episode.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of the most viewed impression wise videos.
I will tell you, it's because Lorcana.
Could very well be.
Yeah. Which someone did call about that about one of their favorite games of last year. Did you have any favorite games of last year?
My favorite game of last year wasn't a standalone, but an expansion. The Night Cage expansion, the newest one for Night Cage for the that was released Q4 2023.
Is that the Shrieking Hollow?
Yes.
It's new.
This one?
Was
Maybe.
No, it would have been the one that came out last year.
Let's see.
Kickstarter, or they had a demo at Gen Con and I got a chance to play it, and then Kickstarter came out.
It's probably
Could it be this one? Pathbreaker Light Eater?
Maybe it's not out officially yet. Now I feel like a jerk.
No, it's
No.
okay. It could be the Shrieking
this
Hollow
one,
one.
it
It was
be
a
this
new,
one.
they upped the player count to where you could get new players, and then they added the new ink monster, which was brutal.
Is that this guy? Let me see.
I believe so.
I'm looking at
Man,
some
now
of
I
the
feel like an
images.
idiot. I'm like calling in to talk about this, and I don't even think it's out yet. They must have pushed it back.
No, that's okay.
Oh, this looks creepy.
I'll let it pass. Because you
Thank
played
you,
it
Choo
last
Choo Boy.
year,
I
and
appreciate
we had
that.
another call like that too earlier.
But the when I had a chance to demo it, it was absolutely fantastic,
Yeah.
mind blowing. Because I was a big fan of Night Cage when it came out. I played a lot of it. I still play a lot of it, both the base game and the original expansion for it. And the Night Cage, the newest expansion sequel, this game is so good. The devs for that game really care and like really hit home thematically of how the game works. So I'm a massive fan of that. The other really cool experience I had in 2023 was Hickory Dickory Clock.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't play this. I
saw
have
this
noticed.
being played, but
I noticed it's on a lot more shelves now, though. It's a lot more.
That's this one, right, Bob?
Yes, admittedly, I didn't pick it up, but I did run a demo of it, and I thought it was so clever, and I enjoyed it completely.
Oh, look, they have little mice on there.
Yeah, teaming up
Yes.
with Frats of Wistar.
Yeah.
Yes, I was a very big fan of Hickory Dickory. It was a lot
Is it
of
a
fun.
rondelle mechanic with the what's the like with that clock? Like what's it, or is it you're competing with the time? That's the only thing
You're
I need to know
competing
about
with the time.
Okay,
Cool.
oh, look at that. That's
Yes.
so cool.
yeah.
Yes, I was. I'm massively big fan of that. It's so cool.
Nice. And that's Flat Hat too, I saw.
It is Plaid Hat, and
Yeah.
the people demoing that were very sweet, and it was a really cool experience.
Excellent.
Nice. So, someone, by the way, said in the comments that they hope you said Operation as your favorite new to you game.
Yeah, dude. Let me tell you, as I say, let me tell you, this is a new one, but I keep my promises, and I was like, well, I'm right in between Painkiller, like territory where I'm about to get my next round of painkillers, and I'm like, I keep my promises. So Choo Choo
Oh my
Boy gets his
goodness.
call.
You're a trooper.
Oh man, thank you
well,
so much.
Of course, guys. I'm gonna get going, but I just want to say I'm a really big fan of the show, and don't let Ryan bully you too much. He's a mean conductor.
I do bully a lot. That's true.
He tries.
That's true. Are we streaming tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm gonna. So the good news is I'll spare you guys the details. My appendix didn't full burst, no punctures. I got in just at the nick of time, so my it was easily removed.
Yes.
And it was I don't even have proper stitchers. I have the internal ones that'll dissolve on their own.
Yeah, and Bob, you do Bob After Dark, which is a paranormal. It's a podcast, right? Paranormal podcast. I mean, you do video with it too, and you got a big guest coming up. It looks like.
Yeah, we're going to be interviewing Dan Aykroyd eventually.
So wild.
Oh,
That's
fantastic. I would
know him.
I would like to do, while I have you guys on the horn, I would love to do a collaboration soon, like a halfway to Halloween or a Summerween episode.
Yeah.
I'd love to do some spooky board game play alongs with you guys, because my love outside of the paranormal and Ghostbusters will always be tabletop board gaming. I forever love it. So I would love to do, if I could do a virtual sesh with you guys to do some sort of spooky game, Zombicide or Brimstone, or fill in the blank. I'd love to do that. Do something like that with you guys.
Yeah,
that sounds great. Yeah,
we do a Fury of Dracula even.
Oh my god, that's a brutal one.
I got a cape.
That's not only brutal, but I also need to set aside like 6 hours.
Yeah, probably. It's
I guess it's better than me saying, "Oh man, I guess the biggest scary game of all time is Twilight Imperium." So then I got to set aside like 18 hours.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna get bouncing. Sorry, I didn't have much more to say, but I want to fill my promise to Choo Choo Boy.
Thank you so much.
Keep up the
Feel
good
better.
work, everybody. Okay.
It is Choo Choo Boys, by the way.
Nah, you're the choo choo boy. They're
right,
just
fair.
good. They're good people. You're the choo choo. Have a
All
good
right,
one,
later,
guys.
Bye, Bob. Speedy recovery.
Oh man.
That's hilarious.
Bob's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Look, my viewpoint, if Bob can call in, no one's ever got an excuse when they say that, within once a year, I can't get him to call in.
Yeah.
Just once.
All right.
Where are we at here?
Well, Anthony and Ryan,
Plethora eights.
Time for
number
number
8.
eights?
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And again, in the chat, by the way, feel free to make predictions, have fun with it. We love that stuff.
Yeah, no, my number 8 makes sense because it is riding on the spooky train.
Oh yeah.
This is one that did we live stream this also?
We
Yeah, right?
didn't.
Yeah, we didn't.
I don't think we did.
We talked about
We
it,
reviewed
for
it,
sure.
I think.
We did. This is Scream,
Oh yeah.
the Scream game.
Why
Now, by
didn't-
the way, before
didn't we
before
live
I
stream
clicked this, when I looked up screenshots for this game,
Oh god.
the only one I could find was the one on the left.
This is horrible.
Okay.
It's so
Oh man.
Go ahead, describe Scream.
This game was
the game.
really fun. This is a real-time cooperative game
Yeah.
where you're basically trying to, I guess, outrun Ghostface
Yeah, like in an app.
in app form. And,
Yeah.
and so yes, you can put your picture in. Everyone has their phones, and the app is going to call random
Yeah.
players
Yeah.
during the game. And if they call you, if Ghostface calls you, you have to have X amount of cards. It's all about cards and different locations and things like that, where you're just trying to play sets to basically score these different.
Yeah, it's a
spots.
set collection.
Set collection.
Nothing
game.
special.
Nothing crazy about that. But it had that. It has the IP, which obviously we all like, and it has that active player knife marker thing that
Yeah.
you have to pass around, which added another level of
Yeah, you can't do your
hilarity.
turn until the
you
knife
need
has been passed around the
You need
table.
the talking dagger. But yeah, then it was just the phone ring and be like, oh no, Ghostface is calling me. I hope I have 4
Which is what
popcorns
happened
or whatever.
on the left side.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Sorry, I couldn't
Hello,
resist the
Chris.
zoom
Well,
in.
let me point out the app when you play this game. Talk about this is the other game that had a great app
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
in 2023. The app makes you take the photos at the beginning.
Yeah.
So you're like challenged to make like your worst scared face. Like,
Yeah.
oh, so that's what that was, I guess. But
but this was frantic, fun.
yeah.
We played it, I think, maybe 2 or 3 times back to back because it was pretty quick. And yeah, this was just, another great one to break out around Halloween.
Will
time.
this one be around? Because I don't know where the split with the Funko games and stuff. Is this one that they keep making?
Oh, I don't know.
Like, I wonder, is it on its last stop? I'm not trying to incite.
Well,
fear.
knowing Scream, it always comes back.
Ah.
Sorry. Couldn't resist.
Well, yeah. How many movies are there?
There's 6.
5
They're
or
working
6?
on number 7
Number
right
7.
now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, the thing I want to bring up, by the way, the best part about it is that app because they got the actual voice actor
Yes.
from the Scream series to do the Scream voice,
Mhm.
like the Ghostface voice. So,
And you
yeah.
had the option of doing,
oh yeah,
an R-rated version with some curse words. I
no,
guess.
they never cursed.
So what was it?
They were just a little bit
Oh, a
more
little more
explicit with
graphic?
the
I-
killing.
okay.
we were wishing it was going to curse or something, but they were
Right,
just
right,
a
right,
little.
right.
They more talked about will actually kill you.
Yeah.
The other one was more kid friendly.
Sure.
So,
Kid friendly murdering.
Yeah.
kid friendly
Yeah.
murdering. I
You
don't
know,
know how else do you describe it.
like that. Fun
yeah.
for the whole family.
But
Scream the
really,
game.
think about how many horror IPs there are that have games, and a lot of them have multiple games.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of them suck.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are good. But they went into this not like wanting to overstay their welcome, knowing what the niche
They know what it
was,
is.
right? Know what it is. Simple party game. The app is a little gimmick, and it just works.
But
It
it's
works well.
priced right too.
Yeah. no,
That's the
it's-
thing about this. This is a game that's I
It's
think
like $15-$20.
yeah, it's priced
Yeah.
right for what it is. So yeah, I appreciate this one.
Scream
It's great.
the game.
We got to go to the comments.
Oh, okay.
Snapship tactics has to be
Snap-
on Ryan's list.
It is. All the way up to number 3.
Ooh, close.
Close but no cigar. And also, this is a game where I love talking about it, but I actually don't have a lot of pictures of.
Yes, you do love talking about it because according to a turn copy,
yeah.
pretty much every time I see him,
Yeah, that's what Ian's
he
saying.
tells me I have to play
He
Snapship.
does, because he will buy everything for Snapship Tactics. Now, Snapship Tactics, first of all, is an awesome toy. And by the way, our copy is a review copy for the Kickstarter edition of the base game. And then I bought everything
else
after.
he's got.
It's basically, all right, so it's an X-Wing style miniatures game where the spaceships are constructed like Lego. Like the instruction manual is just like Lego.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Like, this game is so great. It doesn't have to be great. It could just be cool on the toy factor stuff. And yes, some of the ships actually shoot projectiles.
That's awesome.
But the actual things you build onto your ship match specific cards that have special abilities. And the action selection is very similar to the Conan game or Batman Gotham City Chronicles, where you have a set number of action cubes you allocate to specific actions you want to do. At the start of your turn, you refresh a couple cubes. And boy, oh boy, I love this game. Like, this is my kind of miniatures game. Just don't got to paint anything. Just got to assemble it and ready to go. And the rules are so simple, so straightforward. You played this with me. What did you think of it?
I thought this was really well done. It's definitely an investment to me because once you play one, you're going to want everything. So I was kind of glad you had it. And then to me, the toy factor was fantastic, but the bigger thing was that gameplay. There was really very simple action selection, boom, move. And unlike X-Men.
X-Wing.
X-Men. I'm thinking about the X-Men.
First Magneto.
Well, I got Wolverine on my shirt, so I'm thinking about the X-Men, all right? So when I think about X-Wing, you got all the different levels of how far you could go, etc. You got to get the right tool. This, you got one tool, so it simplifies it. Yeah. So I think it's just a little more welcoming.
Yeah, there's only one template. It's multiple kinds.
I think overall it's welcoming, and you get a lot of gameplay out of that base game.
Yeah.
But I think if you like the base game, you're going to want more.
Yeah.
I do think that's going to happen because ultimately at some point you're going to say, oh, but there's more stuff. I want more variety. And you're going to go down that path.
Mr. Coaster saying Snapship Tactics at PAX. He saw it there. It looked cool. 20-year-old me would definitely have bought everything. Look, I mean, 30-year-old me bought everything. No shame.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. There ain't no age limit on fun. You know? But yeah, that's Snapship. Huh?
You're only 30?
30.
He's late 30s. He's late 30s, technically. Just going to say. I'm only saying because I'm turning 40 in May. So I just got to ride that, at least that he's late 30s here.
Anyways, don't worry about my age. Worry about Snapship Tactics. Go get it.
All right. More comments. That I know are going to impact us.
All right. Tyler, and guessing horrified Greek monsters made someone's list.
It is not on mine.
It's not on mine.
It is on mine.
Bum, bum, bum.
It's horrified. It has to be.
It is all the way at the very, very, very tippy top.
Yeah.
Number one.
It is number one. Horrified Greek monsters. I love the horrified system. I love all three games. And this was, when I thought about what might be coming next from them, I never really put my finger on the pulse of the mythology thing, which I should have because I love it so much. I love mythology, especially with Greek mythology. And so, the concept here is Pandora's box has been opened and these monsters all escaped, and you are cooperatively trying to vanquish them in various ways. So in Horrified, there are different setups for each monster. You can play against as many monsters as you want, and they all have different ways of being defeated. Now, the main things you're doing in the game are going to be the same, and they've stayed the same through all the versions of this, which I love, okay? The map is just different, but basically it's a lot of pick up and deliver. You're walking around the map, picking up items at different locations, and using those items to do advance different ways to defeat the monsters. So the fact that this is a game that I already love and add in the Greek mythology thing to it, this was a no-brainer for me. I'm so glad that this exists, and I will play this anytime.
Can I ask you?
You
Because
can ask me, I might not answer you though.
Horrified, fantastic. I've heard mixed, and I love the first one.
Yeah.
I heard mixed about the second, though. I want it to be amazing because I love monsters. It's, as I've said, it's the closest to the supernatural game I'm ever going to get. This one, it felt like I've heard, and I haven't got a chance to play my copy, but it feels like they really had some fun with the monsters and the ways to defeat the monsters.
Yeah, I like, I gotta say that it's not just a reskin each time, that they don't just take the way that you defeat Dracula and throw it onto the the Ozark Howler, or throw it onto Cerberus or whatever. They all really do work differently. And again, while you're doing the same things in the game, it's just, I don't know, it just shines. It really feels cool. It's a different setup every time. You can make it as easy or hard as you want. I think this one might be the hardest of the three. I say that based on when we usually play against, I usually always want to play against 3 monsters to get that challenge going. And in this one, I believe I've only played against 2 so far. And we've maybe 50-50 win-loss. So I haven't even gotten through all the monsters yet, to be honest with you. But yeah, I just, I love how each mat looks. The sculpts are getting better on each version of this game. They still have with the way they did it with the original game, where they have those other citizens or bystanders or whatever that you're trying to get through, based on real tropes of horror movies.
Oh, cool.
And again, like this, in this version, they're based on real people from mythology.
That's cool.
So you're trying to get these legends to different locations, and you get better stuff for doing that. But for example, when you have to defeat Medusa, you've got to collect a bunch of mirrors first.
Oh, that's
right?
cool.
The one thing I will say that they did add that is slightly different is there are these 4, I think it's 4 locations that are basically, where they are, but they're hidden of where they are. Let me say that again. They start in the same 4 parts of the board, but what each one is, you don't know until you reveal it.
Oh, it's varied.
And so it adds another step to defeating some of these monsters, because there's only 4 of them and 6 monsters, so some of them don't need it. But for example, I think Cerberus for sure, you've got to find the gate to Hades first before you can even start to
because you got to
get those objectives, right?
Yeah.
So you also have to use items to do that. So I think that might be why I feel the difficulty of this one is a little bit higher, because it does kind of add that extra step in. But I mean, if you've never played Horrified before and you're a fan of Greek mythology, I think you could definitely hit the ground running.
Like no brainer, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It looks like a few comments and some that we're going to come back to, because I mentioned other games. Felt more like the original than the American Monsters version did. So that's interesting.
Okay.
Also, hi to Ruel.
Hey, Ruel.
Hey, Ruel.
Always good to see Ruel in the chat. I think he was doing a live stream. He had a bit. I think he was. I think he was doing stream with Becca Scott earlier.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So I didn't get a chance to jump in, but I saw it was happening.
Ian's asking, who's your favorite monster?
Yeah.
Oh man, like out of all of them, or out of this? Again, I don't think I've played all of these
so
yet.
far. Greek monsters. Who's your favorite?
Favorite thus far?
Cerberus, because you have to find the layer, and then his mat has these like 5, I think it's 5 or 6 different pieces of the door that all have different dice values you're trying to get. So to attempt that, you've got to roll those dice to basically flip over that part.
Oh wow!
I see.
Get all the doors open, and then I don't know. The last step is X amount of color to throw him back to Hades.
And Mr. Coaster's asking if any of us played Terrified. The fan.
I would love.
You have?
Yes,
I'm jealous.
I played Terrified 2 years ago at Dice Tower Retreat.
Yeah.
They had that fan copy there, and it was really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's a fan only made. It's not in production, but they did an excellent job with the monsters in that game as well. Again, very thematic. There were a couple of rules questions, because it's fan made, but it really did work. And you got Chucky and Jason and all those cool guys there. And again, the way you defeat them was also very thematic. You had to go to a certain spot to reincarnate someone or abolish the demon out of Chucky and all that stuff. It was cool. Yes. Very, very cool. Terrified.
Awesome.
Yeah, Daystar has a bunch of copies. Looks like.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let's scroll back up in our comments because I do believe we got some other thoughts on what we might have on our
Let's
list.
see.
And
So,
for those tuning in late, just so you know, we have our list here, and as you mentioned, and we are going to reveal them.
so Ian said, I may suggest Endurance for Ryan. Now, Endurance did make my list, so I'll bring it up, and it is number 7. Yes, it is. I had to make sure. So, Endurance is a one-player only game from Amabel Holland at Hollandspiel. And in this game, it is a recreation of the Shackleton expedition, which way back when Shackleton led this expedition down to Antarctica, and I believe it was a 28-man mission where this ship crashed and basically they needed to get out. They were stuck on Antarctica for a very long time, and every single person made it out.
That's incredible.
It's incredible, and this game is brutally hard. The thing is, there's also no win condition in this game. It's
don't die.
you just play until you can't play anymore. So yes, I tried to make it every single person can make it. I've never made it to the very, very end though, because the game takes a lot of twists and turns where you're doing different things, trying to hold on to different food, try to raise morale, try to hunt for food. Also, you need to, you can go sledding, and you may have to shoot the dogs and stuff. Like it's a thing where there's a card where you could put in that you have to shoot the dogs to gain food, which is awful. And they make it purposely in this game where you don't need to include that card in the game. It's set to the side, and at any point you can choose to add it as a potential event. So it's up to you to actually do it.
Interesting.
Wow. So later on in the game, eventually if you make it far enough, you'll go onto lifeboats and split up your party into 3 different lifeboats and just need to fulfill different dice rolls, which is what this is indicating over here. And then if you make it out, you move on to the next level, and then you just have to go through a deck of a lot of hazards and stuff. It's great. Like first of all, it's very repetitive. Very, very repetitive with the gameplay. But what it does, again, what Hollandspiel does very well is it captures that feeling, captures that story. And it does that, I think, honestly, through how repetitive the gameplay is.
Okay.
But it's still very, solid because you still feel like you could have some sort of chance, and you just kind of see how far you can go and make it out.
So you're challenging yourself.
Yeah, it's a
really.
survival game. It's a survival game where there's no win condition. So
Interesting.
It's just a matter of how far you can go. And that was Endurance. Great game.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got in the suggestions here.
So
Endurance. I was going. Oh, this one. One I was going to talk about. I really enjoy is White Castle. The White Castle. I'm not sure if it's on anyone's list. Yeah, it's on my list.
What number is it for you?
Number 1.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Okay. I guess you got to talk about it, but I'll bring it up too on mine. It's number 5.
That's my number 5 too.
What?
It's a triple crossover.
Delicious.
Okay. Look.
Spoilers. These are only triple crossover.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Look. So the White Castle. Played this at a few counts. I've not played it at all counts.
Same.
It is a game first and foremost, really with a few simple actions you can take. We've only got so many spots on the board that we can go.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be different every game, and they're going to change throughout the game. So to that point, that tactical thought of, okay, I got to kind of revise my plan.
Yeah.
But there's really only 3 areas that it's 3 or 4 areas that you're essentially playing in.
Yeah.
The other neat thing about this game is there is a dice factor. The
Mhm.
dice are going to come out onto the board in these spots based on where you're placing. The interesting thing is when you initially start around, you're rolling the dice, all these different colors, placing them on these bridges, which you can kind of see in that bottom left one, I think, probably best.
Probably this one. This one
Yeah.
has the
Yeah.
real
Oh, there you go.
focus.
But lowest to highest.
Yeah.
There are advantages to sometimes playing into to owning on the, and I forget what you're calling that left side of the board. Maybe you can remind
the
me.
lantern side.
The lantern
Right.
side. If you're owning that side, you're going to get some benefit, potentially having your pieces there based on what dice are left. So you have to think about that factor. You also have to think about the multiplication factor of where you have all your pieces within the castle itself, within those essentially battlefields. And that balance of, did I get enough here? But also with limited with what's on the board, because you need the right dice for certain spots. The boards are constantly going to be changing. New tiles are going to coming out to different actions. So this had struck such a balance for me that the more I thought about this, because my top three, I knew my top three.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know the order.
Mm-hmm.
And this kept coming. I was like, man, I really like that one.
Yeah.
And so this one for me, I mean, you could talk more to the fact of all these different things we have on our boards, etc. But the balance of the decision making in this game is what made me love it.
Yeah.
And it felt really good at every player count. It would have been great at one and good at another, but it was never a bad experience for me.
Okay. Yeah.
And I never did. Let me just say, I did not do it solo. I understand from what I've heard from some that there was a BGG version of the solo mode that some maybe people liked better. The solo mode that initially comes with it's pretty hard from what I'm told.
It doesn't change too much though, honestly, the BGG variant.
But I didn't play it solo, so I want to put that out. All my plays are multiplayer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, what I liked about this was the way that those dice are set up on that bridge, so you know what the values are that are going to be available during that round. But you've got to take from only the left or right of that, right? So you've got to weigh the decision. Do I want to take that low die because it'll get me X, Y, and Z, but then it's revealing, it's going to open up this next die for the person who's going after me, and I have a feeling they're going to use it to do that. So is it worth it for me to take that or not? Again, this, similar to what we were talking about Kutna Hora, this is on the heavier side for me, but totally into it and definitely love this game and cannot wait to play it because I actually only played it the one time.
Yeah.
But it was, it hit hard enough for me that it landed on top 10 for sure.
I think the thing about this game, because you were saying that there are some tactics to it, I feel like it for sure has tactics because you do get blocked out at times and need to pivot as much as possible. But there for sure is a strategy because overall, you're going to have just 9 actions through the entire game. You only have 9 turns through this entire game. So depending on what cards came out, where they came out, is going to kind of persuade you into what to do and how to do specific things. And then not only that, you are also going to be in the position of hate drafting some of those dice away. So you don't benefit some of your opponents because anytime at the end of the round, when it's time for cleanup, any dice that are directly adjacent to a player's worker, that player is going to get to do that particular action once more. And that's huge in a game where there's only 9 actions. I love that. I love so much about this game. And that aspect alone, man, so good. And hang on, one more thing.
No, I'm
just because
thinking in my head here.
When you add so many cards, and this game can go completely awful with how much variety there is, but I think it was designed in such a nice and elegant way where it just all works out together.
To your point, I think there is you do sometimes have to move on the fly, but I do think that's where I say it strikes a perfect balance for me.
Yeah,
that there's enough of that you have to strategize and think about those 9 moves, but you still have to think on your feet sometimes because of the fact that someone's going to draft something that you want.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of realize, oh, this might be the spot or that's the spot.
It's always,
and you're constantly doing that. So I don't know. Balance is I just found so much balance.
You're scrounging for so many resources.
And
you need money a lot.
Yeah,
but tight games aren't always fun. Tight games are not always fun. This is tight in the fact that it's those 9 moves, but it's so when you get that combination of things happening, it feels so good.
I think what works well about this game and with the tightness, and I think what works well and why it's okay is because I never felt like there was a runaway leader in any time I played this game because I feel like everyone is on this tightrope.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like there's one person leading the way. And even if there is, you don't really realize it. No. It's very much we're all in this tight ship together, and we're all just trying to scrounge through.
Yeah.
So I think White Castle does a great job of making sure that no player is truly checked out, and gives them a lot of bang for their buck.
Yeah,
because this is a $40 game, and it plays like a $60 one.
Okay, that's fair.
This is, to me, not only my favorite game, but I think it's one of the best values of 2023 in terms of what you get in that box. And it's a good sized box. It doesn't overstay its welcome on your shelf either. It's the right size.
And it's Mr. Coaster approved.
Yep.
Boom. Nice. All right. 4-way crossover.
Whew. How let's make sure we're
White Castle.
We see anything else. We knew we were talking about Greek monsters. Let's see. Sounds like, Dice Tower.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, let's scroll back up, I guess. You're number 8.
I haven't done my number 8 yet.
And then Anthony, I've got our number 7s. But keep it coming. If anyone does want to call in, we are here, of course. So call dashboard.com, be part of the show. You know where to call in there. We love seeing how engaging the chat is, of course. So keep that up.
Yep.
And let's find out your number 8.
My number 8 is General Orders World War II. Did this make your list?
Crossover.
What number?
Number 7.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, let's pull it up. General Orders World War II. I got a lot of pictures. I'm going to click on them. So, boom, 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 boom. Okay. In this game, it is a worker placement World War II game. Now, the thing is, it doesn't feel like World War II at all. It just feels like a 2-player abstract worker placement kind of battler game. In this game, your workers are these different cylinders, which are the thinner cylinders, not the flat circular discs, that you'll be putting on a specific hex to do that action. A lot of times the action is like moving, Sometimes it's like shooting. That's pretty much what you're doing, okay? The goal is to take out your opponent or take out their base, basically, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, there's a set of cards that will kind of give you some benefits, some bonuses as to what to do. They could be very swingy, for sure. So know that going in, but they could kind of determine your strategy. But the thing I want to point out, too, is how nice of a small package it is.
So good.
I have it right here. Look how small this is.
Yeah.
So small. And
our first play was
at a bar.
At a bar on a small bar table. It wasn't just at a bar. We were on one of the little small round bar tables.
Yeah. I
mean, it really fits a lot of game in that box. And there's 2 sides to this. I want to also point out that there's 2 different. It's the same game, but there's some different things when you go to
there's the airplane side.
Yeah, so you add the airplane battling, which is changes the game obviously in a different and fun way.
So here's the thing, right? I had a lot of anticipation with this one. I still like it, but it's not as good as David Thompson's and Trevor Benjamin's Undaunted series, in my opinion. But General Orders World War II, I prefer personally, I know you probably don't, over War Chest. And I feel like the reason why I do is because, well, one, War Chest DNA is so close to Undaunted that I just personally would rather play Undaunted. And this game right here is very tactical. And out of all 3 of them, this one's the most aggressive one. Like, you're very much in your opponent's face in this one, more so than Unmatched or War Chest, in my opinion.
I definitely prefer War Chest over this, but at the same time, I really did like this one quite a bit.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, I will always jump into a game of War Chest. If you gave me this first War Chest, I'm going to do War Chest, but I'm going to want to play this a few times a year for sure.
Yeah.
It's a really well done game. And ultimately, to that point, I don't think of World War II when I play this. It feels like a good abstract. But
I want to see where the series goes.
Yeah. I would be in for more of these.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If there's more General Orders games and they do some different things with it, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And it says World War II. Doesn't feel like World War II at all again.
No,
and it doesn't even tell you what faction you are.
No. And
it's
it's
either blue or yellow, which is fine.
It doesn't hurt the game, though. It's just, I viewed it as an abstract as I played it.
Yeah. All right, that's my number 8.
Cool.
What's your number 7, Anthony?
My number 7 is also right in front of me. And it's another frantic co-op game.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, look, that's us. That's
I know.
us.
I pulled the screenshot from our play.
Man, oh man. So this
I
is
feel the anxiety
from
from
Floodgate
that.
Games.
Yeah.
Charlie McCarron's designer this one, I believe.
Yeah.
And yes, essentially you are together putting on a fireworks display. It is a real-time game, as you can tell by those sand timers that you are constantly flipping. It is I guess, a spiritual successor to Kites,
Mm-hmm.
in a matter of speaking. And yeah, this is one of those games where you're trying to collectively, make a goal happen. But if any of these timers run out, you're going to get basically a ding against you. Now, in this game in particular, thematically, you are boring the guest by, screwing up the fireworks display, and they're going to go start looking on their phones. You get 3 of those people, and you lose, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But what's cool about this is that every timer, in addition to being a different color that matches up with the cards that you're playing, there's also a different amount of time in each one.
Yeah.
So you can't game the system, so to speak. It adds to that franticness, right? That red is running out again, like we just flipped that kind of a thing. And man, there are 30 or 40 different
30. Yeah.
there's 30 different displays that you're trying to compete. I mean, this game you could play this for days and days and days and not get through everything. And you can even try it again because you can try to get a perfect score, so to speak, and not lose any points and any stars from that.
Yeah, and I think the thing about this is I enjoyed this one. It's not on my top 10. Enjoyed this one. You definitely, at a certain point, I just need to take a break when I was playing this. Like, I really felt I had to take
understatement.
because I didn't play with you guys. I played it with my wife. I played it with my son.
I felt like it wasn't a panic attack.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
no joke. This game was so intense.
But you're all in it together.
It's
So what?
It was fun. I had a good time playing it. I had to take a break.
Yeah.
But I really give them a lot of credit for the design on this one because mechanically, when you go through the mechanics of kind of the sets of different things play off of, there's one that you played within this that was like, it looked like the tableau from the tableau of cards from
Seven
Seven
Wonders.
Wonders
Seven
Duel?
Wonders Duel.
Yeah.
So like, I look, huge props to what they did with this one. It won't be for everyone because if you get anxiety
Oh yeah, no,
in a game, this won't be for you.
So I didn't think I was that person, but this game I very much feel that way. And like, I like the game. I do like the game. I don't know if I'm ever going to play this game again though. Like and I don't mean it in a bad way. Like I just mean
you experienced it and that was enough for you.
I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So it takes Kites meets the crew, right? It's a level up kind of thing where there's different scenarios, got to do different things. And I like the level design. I think it's great. I think it's well done. I love the concept that you lose if you bore your audience and they resort back to their phone.
Right.
I love that. But man, it felt my heart pumping, man.
Yeah.
Like, holy moly.
It feels a lot like Fuse, which
I haven't played
is
Fuse.
real time.
Probably won't like Fuse.
No, you probably won't.
Yeah.
No, you.
Same concept except
Yeah.
there's dice instead of timers. And
Yeah.
You're
I-
rolling dice and saying, "Oh, I can take that. I can take that." Well, you
I would
just
play this
not.
over Fuse because it's an evolving game though.
Yeah.
Fuse is the same thing
Sure.
essentially. This evolves. So if you like Fuse, you'll definitely like this. There's
Absolutely.
no question.
Absolutely.
If you like Kites, you might like this. That's the thing. I think if you like Kites, you might like this, but you gotta like the real time.
I still got to
Yeah.
play Kites.
Yeah. It's very similar,
Yeah.
but less stressful.
Yeah.
Hey, Bez.
Good to see you, Bez.
Hi,
Bez bringing up games of real time or stressful moments need moments of relief built in, like the pauses
Yes.
and escape the temple. Yeah, that's true.
That's a good.
Yeah. Intermission.
That's true. And this one doesn't really have that. I feel like there's
You
not.
manually have to choose to pause.
Yeah.
In this one.
Yeah,
Which
but
is
you're
what
only
we did.
playing one card. You're only playing one card at a time. Just take breaks between each one.
I don't know. Oh, look at this. He
That's
started with a beard that was brown.
that's
Poor Ian.
never seen him with a brown beard.
Oh yeah, it's because it was Skyrockets.
Did I meet him at just Skyrocket? No,
Good
come on.
He's also bringing up if it's print made someone's list. I don't believe it made anyone's
It
list.
didn't. I
No.
wanted it. I wanted to really love it. It just didn't ultimately land for me.
Yeah.
Especially because in Fit to Print, I just want to point out, I love the design of some of the things, but I didn't get to take it in.
Yeah.
And it was chaotic.
Yeah.
It was chaotic, and there's so much scoring you have to do. That's another one in real time.
You
That's
were distracted by the
I was
wordplay
yeah.
and the
I
the
wanted to
cleverness
look
of
at
some of
it,
the
so
text. Yeah.
I liked it. I like Peter McPherson.
I love
I'm
the
a
theme.
big
I love
fan.
the concept of laying out a newspaper.
There-
It's really
I
cool.
will tell
Yeah.
people Fit to Print. I actually enjoyed more with the scenario based, which was I soloed.
Okay.
But the scenario based because I was able to slow play it.
Right.
But I think its intent truly is a real time, even though they made it both ways. That's just kind of how I.
And honestly, I feel like that game. I feel like Galaxy Trucker does better. Personally,
Mm.
that kind of game, I feel like Galaxy Trucker just does it better. Personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Playing a real time. Was this playing? Playing a real time longer than 5 minutes without a break can be super stressful.
Yeah, it's a long 5 minutes.
Yeah. I think it was different.
Yeah.
Criteria. All right. Barrows, let's talk about your number 6.
My number 6 is a game that I have played on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
We dropped this video. We initially did this video for our patrons, so I just want to thank our patrons. Take this time to say thank you to all of you. We did early access to our patrons, and this one dropped it on the channel later. That was a playthrough of a review copy. I want to point out Skyrockets. Just a reminder, Skyrockets was a review copy
Yes.
from
Oh, thank
Floodgate.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one was also a review copy from Wise Wizard Games. That was Robot Quest Arena. And I've played this one now at almost every, I think, count that you at every count you could. I played this at 2.
2, 3, 4.
I didn't love it at 2. It was fun at 2, but you have a lot more openness at 2 with your attacks.
Mhm.
But at 3 and 4, I thought it just shines for me. I
I'm
know
gonna
there's
jump in here just because it's also on my list.
Oh!
I want to go ahead and bring
What
that
number
up.
is you?
This is my numero trace.
Oh,
Nice.
goodness.
yeah. So
Go ahead.
I'll hand it to you in a moment here. But I will just say it has an approachability that I think is incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Yet if you're a more strategic gamer or describe yourself as a gamer, I think you can get a ton of enjoyment from this. I know there's comparisons. I know there's games people can put that perspective to. But then when you combine it with the fact that really it takes 40-45 minutes to play, it doesn't overstay its welcome in that sense. The game, you have some control over the time to some extent, because how hard do you attack someone?
Sure.
But even there's cards in the game, and I think this is a good point. We had a card come to the table that was like, wow, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
But in the end, it also meant you might be a target because you're not going to go off the board, which means they could keep hitting you
Right.
because you're going to keep fueling your health back up. And now I'm getting these victory points from you. So because your health in this game, as you attack people, other people's health is victory points.
I love that concept.
Yeah.
I really do.
And that really stood out to me. The cards are different enough. I've grown as a gamer to the point that early on I said I wanted all these unique different cards. And I've come to a point where I understand, hey, it's great that there's a subset of cards that are all the same, in each, but there's like,
yes.
but
Yeah,
then
yeah.
there's also the unique cards. So
Yeah.
it hits a great
Yeah.
balance there for me.
Summer Camp does that as well.
Yeah.
Right, where there's the standard things that you can always buy, and then there's different
Yeah.
cards as well. Sort of like, Dominion does that to an extent, but
A lot of the cost in this game, too, I'll point out as people look at it, is literally the cost of these robots.
yeah,
'cause
they're not
big,
small. Yeah.
they're big, chunky, and they're beautifully painted.
The
which-
MSRP cost, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's because I looked at this at practice and said, oh, I see what the cost of some of these are.
Mm.
So the MSRP is not small, but to that point, that's the why. The gameplay factor, yeah, I love this. And then every expansion for this, which I have not played any, but
Yeah.
every expansion, if you look it up, they all add more stuff. So there's more stuff on the board,
Mm.
more different ways you can recustomize your board. And
Yeah, there's different spots. There's spots on the board where you will start or spawn or respawn if you do lose all your life.
Yeah.
But then there's also obstacles, And I mean, look, if you ever watched like BattleBots or anything, this is really as close as you're going to get to that without actually building a robot, right? Because you can have ranged weapons, you can have melee weapons. I had like a rotating drum of like fists, basically. That was
got a
really
killer
cool
combination.
I got very lucky in that.
You got that
game that we played.
Oh yeah.
But then there's hazards. You can push people into spikes and stuff like that, and recharge. And I mean, this game, like you said, MSRP is already really
$80
steep for what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But like Snapship Tactic, it's a toy factor.
You're definitely
Snapship. I think it's
stuff.
only 60 for the base game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's only 60.
And then
for
the
game.
expansions are single ships, or they're
so
each?
So the base game is $60 for Snapship, and it comes with 3 configurations per ship.
Okay.
So there's 2 ships in there that you could do 3 different ways.
Got it.
This comes with four robots.
Right.
Yeah.
That it's MSRP 80, and they're all pre-painted, and they're big.
Yeah. No, they're big.
They definitely
went a quarter of the box.
They went for a high quality with those pieces, and there's a lot of cost in that. But from a gameplay perspective, God, I love this one.
I prefer it over Robo Rally for sure. Like
I
that.
never played Robo.
Yeah, they have. I mean, that was more like a programming.
I'm not a big.
But the theme of this,
Let me put it this way: I want to try this with the expansions. That's the point I'm at now.
Yeah.
I want to try some of the other ones and see the other stuff we can add to the board. But yeah, love this one.
Cool. Robot Quest Arena.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right, my number 6 is another David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin game, and it's my favorite standalone.
It's gonna be on my list.
All right, what number is it for you?
All right, we're talking about the Battle of Britain.
Undaunted Battle of Britain.
Yeah, that's my number 3.
Okay, let me pull that up. So I only have one picture of it, but those are planes.
Yeah.
So Undaunted Battle of Britain is part of the Undaunted series, which is a deck building World War II series. Well, right now it's World War II, but the next one coming out is in the future in space,
which I purchased already.
Yeah, but this one right here is not a campaign game. It's just a standalone game similar to the original Undaunted ones, not to be confused with Undaunted Stalingrad. This one though has airplanes. And anytime you play a card for a particular airplane, you are going to be moving that airplane always and then doing an action as well. So I love that concept because, of course, it's airplanes. They got to keep moving. They're not like platoons on the ground. You're always moving airplanes. So there's this extra level on top of it. They don't use squares now. They use hexagons, and they're all pointed to indicate which place is facing forward. Yeah. Oh, man. If I were to recommend anyone jumping into the Undaunted series now, this is the one to jump into.
And what was it before? What was the one you recommended before?
It was just the base game.
Just the base game.
Base game's fine. Or North Africa. Both of them are pretty solid. But now, no question, jump into Undaunted Battle of Britain. Oh, and if money's no object and you want to get the bigger one, do Undaunted Stalingrad.
Look, Stalingrad's fantastic, and it's not eligible for this list.
Right.
This as a standalone, this just grabbed my attention. I got you introduced me to Undaunted with Stalingrad. I will say you did that partially because I had all the war chest experience, so a lot of the language was familiar. But as a standalone game, I really love this. There's a lot of different ways you could play. There's a ton of those scenarios in the book, and I love the way that the planes move because you don't just think about it. You have to think about, I got to turn this, I got to do this. So you really have to kind of think about what you want to do and then react to what your opponent does. So it's such a it's such a well-designed game. And to your point, I will say this is the only standalone Undaunted I've played, but I haven't got through, even all of this game, I feel like. So I will be focusing on this and try the other ones at some point, but it sounds like I've played the best standalone so far.
Yeah, and Bez is asking, is this the pinnacle of Undaunted? Now, the answer is I'm not going to take that bet because David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin are insane with some of their output. And when I saw they're coming out with Battle of Britain, it could have easily just been like, it's just a reskin with planes. But they did such a great job with taking that Undaunted system and pushing it to the next level. And what I mean by pushing everything to this next level, because it's not just the hexagons and it's not just the constant movement, But in Undaunted, the initiative system is so crucial where you're burning one card to just use it to go first. In this game, it's even more crucial because you're always moving, and if you're in the target line of a plane, they are going to shoot you. So this is very imperative that you move out of the way. Not only that, but on top of everything else, there's additional layers where your squadrons become more or less powerful if they're within comms of each other. If they're nearby each other, they could do specific actions that have penalty. But if they're far away from each other, they can't do specific actions, or they do it with a penalty by adding a discord card, which is just like a blocker card. Or if you played the Undaunted series, it's the Fog of War card.
Yeah.
Amazing game. Yeah. Amazing game.
Yeah. Like I said, I will say from a standalone perspective, blew my mind, but I will be very interested what there's sci-fi.
Yeah.
And that is on order for I am looking forward to what that looks like. So
what year is that? Undaunted. Undaunted 2200 Callisto.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So we'll see what Callisto brings. And it opens up some creative options for them.
Yeah.
So being interesting what happens.
Anthony, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is a game from Devere, which we tend to like their games. It's a small game called, and I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I could be wrong, Savernake Forest.
Okay.
So in this game, you're building, it's a tile placement game where you're going to be building usually a 4x4 grid. They have a 2-player variant that lets you double the size of your forest. So you can do a 4x8, either landscape or portrait, which if I am playing 2 players, I tend to do. But essentially, you're going to be drafting these tiles from that center board there. 3 of them are going to be path tiles, and then 1 of them is an animal. What you're trying to do is score each animal to the most of their ability. You do that by looking at which foods they like to consume and how many points they're going to get for each of those. So if you got an animal that, for example, gets 2 points per strawberry, you're going to want to try to attach that animal to a path that has strawberries in it. Now, as you can see in that picture on the left, you don't necessarily have to always connect the path. You can have dead ends. They're allowed.
Yeah.
In fact, it's advantageous because you can only score 1 animal per path.
Okay.
So you want to try to keep animals to their own path. When you draft these tiles, they also do different things depending on which column you're taking them from. So on the picture on the right, if you're taking from the far right, that's the only column that has new animals to take. The other ones, though, are going to do different things. So that first one with that giant red
rooster,
for lack of a better term, is going to allow you to go first. That's first player marker.
Makes sense.
The second one there, the goat, has these water droplets. The water droplets are going to increase the value of those foods. So some of these animals might have a starting value of 0 for, say, worms or whatever. But if you get that water droplet, all of a sudden worms are worth something for that animal. And then the next one over is the armadillo, which allows you to increase your storage capacity of those foods. Because in addition to having a point value, each animal has a limited number of those foods that they can carry, right? So adding those little storage areas is going to allow you to potentially extend that animal's path even further. Because when the game's over, you're going to score each animal by starting at their tile and going in order from their path, and how many of those foods are you going to score. So the more of those storage things you have on the animal, the farther their path can go. That's the whole game. You're just going to score your points at the end of the game based on the food that they ate. Very simple, very easy to get to the table, small footprint. That animal's theme, love tile laying, love the mechanic, and some cool components. That's Savernake Forest.
Nice.
What stands out to me here is the wide variety of games Devere puts out.
Yeah.
There was so
much to look at their booth at PAX.
Always is.
We got this. Actually, I want to say my wife actually got this for me for Christmas after the fact because she saw that I was looking at it at PAX. So we buy it there. Yeah. But White Castle's there, obviously. Red Cathedral.
Red Cathedral's so
my wife actually bought
Three Ring
a game
Circus
called
too.
A Color Monster.
Oh, cool. No, I don't know that one.
Social emotional development game.
Nice.
So yeah, yes, the Veer has some awesome stuff.
Yeah, kudos to them on
That's
that.
my number 6.
Cool.
I guess my number 5 is next.
What's your number 5?
My number 5 is a game we played. I believe we played on camera this year. This past year. Did we play?
We did.
Yes. That is a game called Barcelona.
Which is my number 4.
There you go. I'll talk a little bit about this one. What stood out to me at this game, again, this falls along the lines of overall fairly straightforward about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It has a grid system too, where you are taking an action, you are thinking about an action, but the corresponding grids that all the actions are taking place on makes a really interesting intersecting board.
Yeah,
you are building up this city. You are going to be sharing in the space together in that way, but also being mindful about what the routes of these roads look like. Where do you want to claim? Because you want to claim a certain road, because a certain piece of a road, because as you claim that road, someone else may go there. But if you and then this continues to score points for everyone in that sense, based on how built out the road is going. So there's a collaborative nature to this, even though it's not collaborative in the sense of you're all trying to help each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this collective collaborative nature. There's also kind of a control of time in this one to some extent.
Do you think it's collaborative? I don't think it's collaborative. I mean, we just happen to be on the same place, but that doesn't mean I want you to build.
No, but collaborative is not the word.
Okay.
It's interactive.
Yeah.
Interactive.
Sure.
So interactive would be the word.
Okay.
Because you're right. I think the interactiveness of where we're placing is very real. So even when it's not your turn, you are thinking about, if I go here, or he might be trying to go here, I'm going to go here, even though it's right next to here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing and saying, oh, why did he go there? Now I got to rethink about what I want to do with this.
Yeah.
It is a game, though, to me that always kept my attention, despite the fact that with 3 or 2 other players, there could be some time in between. It wasn't too long, but there could be some time in between as they're thinking about maybe an action they want to take, because I was constantly trying to think ahead in a positive way. And that's no always a positive way. Like, I don't want to wait forever, right, between turns. But I don't know, for me, it was engaging throughout.
So what I like about this, it's an engine builder where your engine starts right away, right? Yeah. There's every turn, you're always doing a ton of things. And it all starts with you choose what 2 workers you're going to put down on this central board. And all the time, those workers control the tempo, because as they come out, they'll be added to that little board track on the bottom.
Yep.
And as soon as one of them goes off board, they will trigger a mid-game scoring, trigger a mid-game scoring, and then eventually trigger end-game scoring. So there's this constant look of, okay, maybe I don't do this right now, or maybe I do this right now because I'm in the best position for scoring right now. You have your own personal player board that you're doing things. You have all these different actions on the outside that you can constantly mix up, which goes into like how White Castle was. But this does it just as well, in my opinion. I'm not going to say better, because I think both of them do it pretty well.
No, but it's those actions that can be different every game too, by the way, where they're located.
Well, the actions are always the same. It's just the combo is different.
That's what I mean. Like the actions, but the combinations are always going to be a little bit different. So it adds to that high level of replayability. And for me, I do like that time factor of you can control a little bit of that time and say, oh, man, I really want to push this because I want to end this, because I want to get to that mid-game scoring. And I didn't really, my first play of this, I realized my mistakes and said, oh man, I should have done X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And I like that. I like that I can come back and say, all right, I want to come back and try this a different way.
Yeah.
And
so we're looking at point salad, and in the best ways, I think.
It's a very point salad games can be messy. Yeah. Or they can be clean. This to me is a very clean points out, if that makes sense.
No, it does, because it doesn't feel like an arbitrary point salad. Like you're getting a lot of points, but it's working very well. It's not like, oh, okay, we're just throwing points wherever.
And the player boards, I think you have to make some very interesting decisions with your player boards.
Yeah.
Of what
Plus, it looks so nice.
They do. Yeah. This one just stood out to me. I didn't actually do particularly well on this one, but I remembered the experience and then said to myself, man, next time I do this, what can I do to improve?
I want to play this game right now.
Yeah, so I like this one a lot.
It's
So,
Barcelona.
yes.
We like Barcelona here. All right. We're down to Chris. You have your number 2 left, it looks like.
Okay. What else?
I have my number 1 left.
Mm.
Anthony, you have your number 2 left.
That worked out pretty well.
Wow.
2-2-1.
Yeah. 2-2-1. You want to?
My number 2 is a festive game all about making toys.
Oh, we know what this is.
Santa's Workshop.
Uh,
Boy, oh boy, this was on my list of most anticipated games that were going to be coming out this year, and it delivered for me big time. This is a worker placement game where you are a little faction of elves doing all the things necessary to make Christmas a success. Right?
Mhm.
You're going to be building toys. You're going to be going to collect the materials to make said toys. You're going to be taking care and feeding the reindeer. You're going to be putting things on the Christmas tree. And there's 2 sides to this board. There's a more complicated and less complicated side. But man, a worker placement game about Christmas, and it does it really well. It's not just a paste it on theme where it could be anything, like a lot of worker placement games are. You know, this is Christmas. This is Santa's Workshop, and you are doing all the things that elves need to do. The different boards. So this the player board on the right that's showing has that mine cart. This is the more advanced side of the player boards, which I do enjoy more. I like it. It's not too crazy, but essentially it's your currency. You're using that to purchase the.
you're mining for coal,
huh?
You're mining for coal.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, you need the coal.
Yeah, I
It's
guess
important.
so.
Yep. And each faction does the same things, but the meeples look different.
Yeah.
Different colors. That's cool. And that's just a great presence on the board, on the table. Colorful, Christmassy, and very thematic. I love this. Santa's Workshop. And this was a hot item at PAX Unplugged.
Yeah.
I think almost everybody that we were with bought a copy.
Yeah.
I bought 2 because I bought one for my buddy who couldn't go. We were also under the impression that they were going to be gone very quickly.
Which they were not.
But they were not. But that's okay. Santa's Workshop. Love it. Can't wait to get it out again next Christmas time.
It's definitely a game that will come out at Christmas.
Yeah.
It will not come out the rest of the year,
I
but
kinda
at
like those
Christmas it
games
will come
because
out.
They there's a reason to get them out at a certain time, right? It's like
Yes.
visiting a random state that you normally wouldn't visit because they have the thing there that you want to go see.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? It's the way that it's going to come off the shelf.
Yeah, it's gonna get played every year.
Yeah.
And I can't say
Absolutely.
that about every game I own.
I can't even say that about every Christmas game I own. I have like almost a whole Christmas shelf now at this point.
Well, you have every version of Patchwork.
Almost, except the original.
Really?
Believe it or not.
I don't
Yeah.
own the
goodness.
I don't own the original either. I own like 3 versions, but
Yeah,
not
I
two.
just Americana is just original enough. that I
Americana
don't
is
think I
original
need
enough.
another one,
Yeah.
you know?
That's Santa's Workshop.
That's Santa's Workshop. Ho ho ho.
My number 2 is not going to surprise anyone who is on our Discord, which if you are not a member of and you're interested, please let us know. We got a great community there. But anyone on the Discord is going to know because we have a channel that relates to this game. And that is the very exciting cooperative version of Unmatched. So Unmatched Adventures, Tales to Amaze. This cooperative version is phenomenally well done, in my opinion.
Cool.
And I love Unmatched. And one of the first things I said, I'm not going to do this. I'm just doing the Marvel characters for Unmatched. That did not last. I played this, and they have. I am excited about what else they can do with adventures and what other ones they can do. This one in particular, with the aliens coming down, was quite enjoyable. But it's not just aliens that you're fighting in this cooperative. So in Unmatched, it's normally a battler. And generally speaking, you could play, but more than. But it's a It's a one-on-one battle
one-on-one.
for me.
Right.
That's how I play the game. In this one, we're teaming up, but it's got something you would like
Mhm.
because the way the turn orders go
Mhm.
is there are cards on the table. Flip
Mhm.
them over. You find out who's moving. Is it one of the monsters or is it you?
Hmm.
It's very Cosmic Frog. You don't know the order.
Mm.
You don't know the order.
Okay. Tell
So
me more.
you're going to have the main monster, and then they have supporting monsters. So you're not just dealing with, in this case, and there's two different, the aliens is the one that I was doing in this particular moment. You're not just dealing with the aliens and their little green men, though those little green men, by the way, are not the standard ones. Those are like special ones. Those are like a Kickstarter exclusive or something.
Okay.
There'd normally be the little token.
Cool.
But they're going to come out and you're going to play your cards like you would in Unmatched. You do certain damage, whether it's melee or from range. You're going to do your damage in that way. And the cards are going to help determine just, all these, where the bad guys are going and what damage and attack they're doing on you. But the system works really well.
Okay.
And it's one that I think has a big potential future because you could do more Tales to Amaze.
Mhm.
It does come with some characters as well. I forget which one that one is that I was actually using, but you could use your favorite characters. I could put Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, in here against the aliens and whatever. And there's like 4 or 5 of these other sub monsters. So you
And
can
vice
mix it up.
versa. Can you take the heroes from this game and play them in a match? Okay.
Yes, perfectly able to play them in other ones. So they've got their standard set of cards that you would, that for every, and I shouldn't say standard, they're all unique and matched. But I thought a perfect implementation that adds a cooperative gameplay to Unmatched. And that's really exciting to me because my son and I like playing this game. I know a lot of people like playing this game, but now we can play it against the bad guy. And I think the system runs really well. About 45-minute gameplay.
Okay.
I'd say 35, 45 minute. I don't actually own it. I need to own this one. This is on that list of games to add to the collection. But really love this. It skyrocketed up my list after a few plays. And I'm excited to see what Restoration Games does ultimately and what other tales they give us. What other adventures are in store, because I have to think more is coming. I mean, I'm hoping.
I mean, there's been so many already.
Yeah. Shakespeare's coming out in the regular, and I cannot wait for
Shakespeare versus the aliens.
No, I could put Shakespeare versus the aliens. You could.
Why not?
But that would be Unmatched Adventures.
Is Tesla Ghostbuster Tesla?
Tesla is in here. Yes, that's who it is. Cool. Yes, Ghostbuster Tesla is what we'll call him.
Yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah, but yeah, and it looks great on the table too. That alien ship is really neat. And Mothman, I think, is the other one.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize Mothman was in this.
That's the other one. There's 2 different boards.
All right, I'll play this again with you for Mothman.
All right, cool. I got options of characters for you, but you could be Tesla.
All right. I was gonna bring Buffy, but she's not that great, I heard. Right?
I don't have that one.
Yeah.
I have to. It's still. I can
Still
find
available
for only so long. Once they're gone,
know.
they've said that for a while, and I keep still seeing it though.
Yeah.
So,
all right, my number 1 pick, ending this right now. Right. So, thanks by the way, for sticking around. My fellow Americans, I'd like to bring up my number 1 choice.
Mr. President.
Mr. President, the American Presidency, 2001 through 2020 from GMT Games. Let me pull this up. Oh my goodness, don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself. This big behemoth of a game is a solo-only game, which on the back, it says it takes 8 to 12 hours. Game 1 for me took 20.
Damn!
I played it across multiple days, of course. It is a game that looks like this giant board. It's actually 2 giant boards put together. One side is the world side. The other side is your domestic side. You're going to lose on the world side. You're going to win on the domestic side. On your turn, which there are only 4 turns in this game, each representing a year, you're going to open up, give me this 30-page binder 27-page binder that is going to be walking you through each turn of the game.
Wow.
And the great thing about this is I barely touched the rule book. This walks you through a single turn of the game. And you're going to go through this chart, which is going to just walk you through different steps. Different events will happen worldwide. Different events will happen domestically. And then when it's your turn to act, you have so many things you can do. You better do the right thing. You better do what people would want. You're going to pass bills. You're going to try to pass bills. You're going to have friends in Congress. You're going to have opponents in Congress. Russia and China act as two separate superpowers that also have win conditions. And if they win, you lose, and have their own separate turns in their own separate turn book. This game, holy moly, was incredible. Like, I was really dying to try this one when I first heard about it, because I love solo gaming and I love like games that make you go through different things, like Nemo's War kind of things, where you have like a big table and kind of just do what you can. This game has chits upon chits upon chits,
and books upon books
and
upon
books upon books upon books.
It's like half the box is books.
Yeah, half the box is book,
Oh my
and it
God.
opens up with a letter to you from the former president of the United States to my successor.
Can I put a photo of this up on the Discord?
Yeah, of
I think
course.
people need to see this. So I'll put this on the Discord for everybody in the board channel.
Here's the thing. If this doesn't sound like a game you're going to like, it is not going to be a game you're going to like. It is a game where there's tons of things going on. It's not complicated. It's just involved.
Yeah.
It's very involved. If you don't have a dedicated space that you could set aside, like I have this office so I could have the table out with this game,
Yeah.
and I just had it on for nights and nights. And the thing about this game is anytime I went to it, I was like, okay, I'm only going to do maybe like an hour, but wait a minute. What if I did this? Now what if I did this? Okay, now I got to see what this is. Now I got to see what this is. And it just keeps on going. The world keeps on moving in Mr. President, and it is up to you as the player to react. And that is what I loved about this game. It really makes you feel that immersion of that role. Not only that, I do professional web design and user experience. I think the development work in this was phenomenal, walking me through this entire game, making it easy for me to play this complicated game. I'm also doing the president thing right now, I just realized, right? It was incredible, and I am eager to get back to this again and play it some more. There's a giant stack of events that I haven't even touched the surface of. There's playtesters of this game who haven't touched specific cards yet in this game. People who've worked on this game have not touched specific cards just yet. And I'm so excited to keep on trying this one.
Do you have to get reelected?
So that's the thing. You can choose to play the game twice and do it a second term. And depending on how you were doing, you would see if you're reelected. But it only happens after turn 2. You see how you're doing in midterms, and if they want to ask you back for that re-election. Because then you also have other people that act in your cabinet. You have a vice president.
Yeah.
You have a chief of staff. You have a secretary of defense. They all do specific kinds of actions. And then there's also actions that just the president can do too. There's things like talking with the media. There's things like trying to go and buddy up with an ally, or go visit like a superpower, like have diplomatic relations with both China and Russia, because it's a very delicate balance. You want them to be not totally angry at you, but you also don't want their economy to be booming,
Right.
because that is going to affect you, because they're going to try to take over the whole board. In the beginning of the game, I was behind on cyber warfare and cybersecurity technology as opposed to Russia and China. When Russia went up, I got obliterated in cybersecurity. Like they just went on in and just like infiltrated, and I had now domestic issues going on. There's terrorism that happens in the game. There's rogue states that will start up and try to obtain weapons of mass destruction. I had to go out and go into war to get those. It was nerve-wracking. It was insane.
But the fireworks display you can't handle.
No. But I'll tell you this. They have so many things in this game, not just that, not just the war stuff, but it has like passing bills. It even had me visit a school. I played dodgeball with a kindergarten. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm that kind of president. I'm pretty hip.
Man.
My public approval is pretty.
Bess has a
pretty
question
good.
about it. How many days that 20 hours take you?
It was 5 days. It was 5 days.
And were you tracking just because you love stats?
Tracking what? The days?
The hours.
No, I mean, it was roughly. It was like,
Yeah.
I'm saying 20 hours as a roughly, and it also took about 3 hours just to set up.
Yeah.
They should make this a real time game.
Oh my gosh.
Play over 4 years.
Right? For 4 years.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back to it and try it again and see what else we're gonna do with this one. But that's Mr. President.
No, hypothetically, I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting we do this because there's no way I'd be able to. Hypothetically, could you play it with 2 people and have someone
You can.
take vice
And
presidential
honestly,
actions?
if any of you want to come by while I have the game going on, you're more than welcome to. It
I
really
think that
walks
will
you
be the
through.
way that I experience this because I don't know
Yeah,
that
just
it would sit on my table.
sidelines.
But I would like to experience
Yeah.
this in some form.
Yeah, but there's literally so many different things you're going through. You have all sorts of domestic actions. You got to take care of your economy as well too, and then you have to be friendly with the opposing party and make sure both parties are okay.
Well, I want to point out to people too because I'm looking at this book, but the book really does lay it out.
And again, a lot of this one was likely the development work behind this.
Yeah.
So I got to give them kudos, like how well it's designed and how intimidating it looks, but it's so straightforward when you actually just get going, you know?
Yeah.
This has that campaign for North Africa vibe to it, but at least this is like a game. You know what I mean? Like Campaign for North Africa was designed to be the most complicated thing ever, but this actually is a monster, but it's tameable
Got it.
and it's understandable. So yeah.
Well, speaking of a monster, we have hit the 3-hour
And Ian's
20
my vice
mark.
president.
Well, we'll see about that.
They should make every potential president play this game before they actually get elected.
Well, actually, so at the end you could compare your score to actual presidents.
Oh, that's cool.
And get this, right? They only have 18 presidents listed because, according to this, presidents after 1960 have purposely not been used to avoid political bias.
Okay.
However, on Board Game Geek, there's the actual list. I'm sure you can guess who's last.
Not you.
Not me, that's for sure. I ended up winning in turn 2. So every turn at the end of the turn, they check your evaluation. And if you're at a certain point threshold, you just auto win. So I auto won in second turn. So didn't
second turn took 20 hours then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't even do 4 years.
yeah.
But I also took my time on my first play. I took my time, you know. I watched the heavy cardboard stream as well online as I played it, just to see, am I doing this right? What are they doing? You know, it was an experience, and I'm looking forward to that experience again. And the fact that it took so long and I'm willing to go back to it, there's no question that this is my number one.
Yeah.
Like I really, really enjoyed Mr. President.
I'm laughing too because as we pull up this list, and I'm sure you can zoom out so people can see the full thing, I believe. As you look at this, I always joke about that's a little too zoomed, but you talk about the different tastes. One thing I'm incredibly proud of, and I hope people enjoy with this channel, is we've got a lot of variety with the stuff that we are playing and that we like. And so hopefully you're learning of some new games in this process, especially as we learn from you with our callers calling in those suggestions. I mean, today alone, there's been at least 30 to 40 games shared just between us and callers. And that's awesome to me. So I will just say, certainly feel free to take a look at our list here. You can see a little bit up on the board now. We'll be able to share. I think we could share the link after the fact on the Discord if people want to check it out too, right?
Yeah.
So we'll share that on the Discord in the Cola board channel. We'll drop that in right now. I'm also going to share a photo of that opening letter that's right here because it's pretty cool when you open this letter for.
Yeah, literally, that's the first thing you see.
That's,
it's the letter from the former president.
And it's ironic because it reminds me of what you get when you open up Horrified. That's got this cool looking experience when you open up Horrified. So
which they use the same quote from the opening of Frankenstein.
Right. So it's neat that that's thing right there as well. If you come across this video and you have made it this far, or you come in once the chapter is in, I want to thank you for watching, regardless of where you've come in. I believe it's safe to say, though we won't have the dates on this yet, the next big thing on the channel is going to be our top games of all time update, 2024 edition, obviously. So stay tuned, I think, for that in the coming weeks, hopefully, that we can.
I say we jump next week.
We could. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out. We'll let you know.
Anybody have a list ready yet?
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, but and then at that point, just so you know, we'll be certainly inviting some of the additional members of our Discord channel. Mr. President is tired here, so I'm gonna let him go. No. But with that, stay tuned. If you're not a member of Discord, definitely join, and I'll have a link for that in the video as well, which should already be there. With that, thank you for coming aboard the Tabletop Express. We'll see you next week.
So long.